Yeah. This might be the best. There's a lot of songs about teams. A lot of team theme songs. I think this is the best one.
So welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen, shout the name. Seattle Supersonics are basketball bionic. And Gary Payton was on. Bounce pass on court to Sean. And the crowd sang along. Supersonics, oh yeah. Supersonics.
Not just a regular team. Take the middle with it. Need a three. Over to Shrimp. In the corner. Gary wide open. He delivers. Yes! Gary Payton hits the three. Ay, caramba!
15 seconds to play. Deadlift with the baseline J. Up court fast break invaders. The slam dunk terminators. Fans can rattle the roof. Nothing but net, big smooth. 5 guys in a groove. Supersonics, oh yeah. Supersonics.
Not just a regular team. Get up, Rain Man, and think it's good. Golly, is that kid strong? Oh, it's getting weird in here. Oh, Alibaba. Nobody do the voodoo.
Supersonic.
Supersonics, oh yeah.
Louder.
Supersonics, oh yeah. Are still. Supersonics.
What's up, everybody? We're not trying to confuse you. We didn't turn into a basketball podcast. It might not confuse you because you might not know what a supersonic is. You might be not of that generation. But yeah, that's Supersonic by the presidents of the United States of America. And yeah, that's a theme. I remembered Supersonics, Basketball Bionic. That's a line that stuck.
Such a good line.
This is the Baseball Hippie Show. It's a show about baseball, podcasts, psychedelia, and denuclearization. We've got special guests on the show tonight. This is Carver. Dare I say, one of our most fervent supporters. And always to the left of me, my man, Brownbear.
What's up? How you
What's
doing?
up?
Chilling.
Does it look like I was left off bad emoji? I got the Supersonic Basketball Bionic shades on.
Those are pretty bionic, dude.
Those are tight.
Man, for all the Spotify listeners, I'm wearing sunglasses that are cooler than your average. Kind of like riding in my car. They kind of have riding in my car. Riding in my car. I feel safe in my car. We played that on last week's show. But yeah, Carver, it's great to have you on. And I know you're listening. I think you're one of the, I'll be honest, I'll just say it out real quick for all the listeners too. Well, a few things real quick. Okay. I was at a point where I did have this thought. I don't know if I ever told us, but I was like, why do I do this podcast? Like, why do we put ourselves through this? And then I don't know. I was just having second thoughts. And I was just like, I don't know why. And I just swear to God, I go on YouTube and there's just a comment from you, dude. And you're like, yo, what's up, guys? I don't even really watch that much baseball, but I pay attention every week, and you guys get me filled in. It's really awesome. It was like the most earnest thing, and I was like, man, one fan just starts at one. It's the seed, so I appreciate you.
Well, I believe if you can get somebody to watch this show once, they'll be a fan for life. Fan for life.
We We need more listenership. We're a little afraid to get out there on the interweb. It's a dark place as we document on the show.
Can be. Yeah.
Still developing
So,
the product. Still developing
yeah.
the product. But
But we do. If we get 75 more subscribers, we get to have our own YouTube URL, YouTube / the Baseball Hippie Show instead of a slash, like a random, token.
Number. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a running theme. And then also the theme is we had a special guest. My brother Tobes came on the show. And we went through the batter's box. And at the end, I was like, how was that? And he was just like, 4 on no scale. So I have work to do. I've been busy in my other life. So we're going to try to get you through the batter's box. I got a few questions. But man, I'm out of form. And then Brownbear asked me one of the best questions ever on the show. What's your favorite nut? And so we've just been inspired to try to be better interview, better show altogether.
What was your favorite nut?
Well,
it's
that's
stunted,
great.
man. It's
We want to
stunted.
know yours. But I'll say mine, after much deliberation, is the peanut, because I'm the baseball hippie, and baseball and peanuts are synonymous. It's the nut of baseball, so that's
True.
it answered itself through some logic. But Brownbear, I believe, was cashews, which I almost landed on.
Cashew easy is my favorite for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me. I like the Brazil nut a lot, but I think I eat the almond the most.
I said I think I eat almonds the most, but cashews are my fave. Wow, Brazil nuts. Like, so when you have the mixed nut, it's the big one.
I picked those out first. Those get eaten
Really?
first. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dang, you must love that trail mix then, because then those are like the rare. You like in that trail mix, if I recall, those are like the rarer one.
Yeah, because they're so big. They only get you only get a few.
Yeah,
But they're so buttery. I just love the way they kind of like
they are buttery.
dissolve. They're good.
Macadamia. Yeah.
Macadamia is like a fancy Brazil nut, I feel like.
Okay.
I can see that.
Taste wise.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
Okay. Learn a lot about nuts. I also want to remind all the baseball hippie listeners, Carver's been on the show a few times. We had him on for the Soul Patch Awards, where we went over all the greatest. Carver got a list of all the greatest soul patches in the game. Maybe season 1, episode 2 or 3, or no, season 1, episode 10, I would say, around there. We'll go check that for real. And then recently we had Carver guess his own Bandcamp songs, because Carver's a huge supporter on Bandcamp. So we went over a list of all of the Bandcamp stuff you've liked over like 10 years. It reached a 10-year span. And you guessed like 4 out of 5 of the songs we played.
I got lucky. Sometimes it's just your day.
Let's have the Mariners feel. What is the Mariners score, by the way? Did we get an update? They were tied going in the 8th when the show started, I believe.
I thought I caught
Shedlong
10.
did something.
Oh, 2-1.
2-1, yeah. Shedlong hit a home run in the 8th inning, and they won 2-1.
Oh, shout out Mariners. A little winning streak now. That's 5. That's 5. Carver. That's another thing we're going to talk. Carver's kind of originally came into the fold as the Ohio specialist, where we talk all things Ohio. And we came to talk about Cleveland's name change, which, is slow moving, but hopefully next year that'll be a thing. But Cleveland's been a great team, Carver. And we went over worst Mariners last season. We hear you've got some things about worst Indian players of all time.
I got some bad tribes.
Fighters. Yeah. Nice. Well,
You guys, tell me when, and I'll break it out.
okay, you want to do it right now? No, just kidding. We got a format, dude. We're not just a free form show anymore. We started out that way. But first, we ask everybody how they're doing. Okay. And I think we covered that with you. Unless you
My day's good. I'm thinking about Brazil nuts now.
You got me thinking about Brazil nuts too, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, Carver said Brazil nuts are his favorite. I kind of want to go buy a bag to make sure I didn't.
If you can find a bag of Brazil nuts, you tell me where. I can only find them in those mixed nuts.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a bag of just Brazil nuts. That's
the
rare.
Special Reserve, like brown crisps from the like Gardino's like snack. They have those, yeah.
Yeah,
you find them at Winco. You can find them in the barrels at Winco. I'm sure, man. Winco's got everything bulked up for you.
I miss Winco, employee owned. That place was great.
Is it gone?
No, but I live in Los Angeles. I don't
Oh yeah, not out there on 82nd Portland. Shout out.
Yeah.
82nd and Powell.
That's where I used to live, man. 82nd, 81st technically, but still close enough.
There's a lot of special places on this earth. Monaco, the Cinque Terre in Italy, places in Southeast Asia, and then there's 82nd and Powell. One of the 8th wonders of the world. Anyways, no, seriously, shout out to our friend Andy, who we pulled up on that 7-Eleven one time, and he asked the dude, like, yo, are these chicken wings good? And the dude just laughed at it. That was the funniest thing ever. He was like, yeah, man, they're great. They're great. And then he like, gave him a bunch of free food. He just thought it was the funniest thing he's ever heard. He's like, hey, man, are these chicken wings right here? Are they tasty? And he's like, yeah, man, the greatest chicken wings on earth. So, yeah,
you
shout out.
remember when you traveled across the country with that man?
Oh, yeah, every day. Every day. He tried to pee in a cup like the first couple hours. He's like, I'll just go in a cup. It's like, dude, you haven't been on the road for like 4 hours, but we were both driving like a huge truck because they didn't have any of the small ones anymore. It was weird. They didn't even know us, dude. They didn't like know us at all. They were like, here's a big ass truck.
Listeners just a little bit, give it a little bit of context.
All right, we'll get into that. That could be in the end of the show. We'll talk about poster tour. Baseball hippies adventures. All right, well, Carver, man, thanks again for coming on the show. I'm glad you're having a good day. I know it's hot in LA. It's hot in Portland. Wait, do we ask how people are doing? We can stretch out. Brownbear, how are you doing? Some just like too much jibber jabbing. We get to the shout outs. That's all I'm saying. Next is the shout outs. Let's talk about how we're doing. Brownbear, how are you doing too?
I'm doing good, man. Just chilling. Like you said, it's hot in Portland. Today was actually kind of chill. It was in the 80s, but it's supposed to get back up to the 90s, and then this weekend is like, no joke, it's supposed to be like 108 for 2 days. Where'd my weather go? Yeah, Saturday and Sunday 108, and then Monday 102. It's just a joke, dude. It's not even July yet.
Wow.
I'm going to Chicago, but so the show actually we won't be on next week. What's that?
What's the temperature going to be like in Chicago?
Shoot, 84. Might be a thunderstorm on Friday too.
What? That
I
sounds
know.
nice. Okay.
Inverse. I know. But it could get hotter. I think 84 is a little different out there too, because my brother's Josh Jacob Jingleheimer said bring some shorts.
Oh, it gets humid out there for sure.
Oh, also shout out to Josh Jacob Jingle. We're gonna go into at the very end of the show. This Ben Zobrist story keeps unfolding, and I'll just preface it because I'm gonna read through the article on this show. But he sent me an article this morning where Ben Zobrist left the game because his wife, who's a famous country, his wife at the time was a famous country singer, and she had cheated on him or something like that. Anyways, he quit in the middle of the season.
Wow.
And he's very religious, and I guess it came out recently, at least with this article, she cheated on him with their pastor, and there's some money embezzlement. What? So I know it's kind of TMZ vibes, but we kind of got to get into it because it's kind of like on some psychedelic. It's just some weird. We're into the weird here.
Is she a famous country singer? Who is she?
think famous might be a generous
I think
term.
her last name is Zobrist. Let's look
Okay,
it up.
it's not that famous. I ain't heard of no.
Dude, if I had a measure in country, I mean, she's not Kenny Chesney by any means. She's not. Can we get a Google search?
Yeah, I'm checking it out.
Man, last year before I got the job that I have now,
Uh-huh.
I did this short film, or I edited this short film for this guy who was the husband of the lead singer of the Dixie Chicks. And then, like, as we were editing it, the Dixie Chicks put out their last album, which is all about their divorce. And we kind of stopped working on that project.
Whoa.
I think it was
The
really,
Dixie-
it was crazy. Because that
It was like a
album-
movie about someone's divorce.
right, essentially, right? Like, she talks
Why
about
would
like,
anybody
really
ever want to do
sensitive
that?
shit.
Like without like professionals involved. That doesn't. It just
I think
sounds like a
That's kind of
toxic.
what the Dixie Chicks are known for, you know, like
Yeah.
Gil Earl
the
and stuff like
Jig-
that, right?
Earl's a great. Yeah.
yeah, Earl's dead.
Shout out Dixie Chicks. Okay, that makes sense. I forgot that they're like rock stars. I just think like
Yeah.
me and you though, it's like a painful time in your life, I guess, or it's like kind of a like I don't know for some
Yeah.
people, maybe it's a happy thing. I don't know.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think for Juliana Zobrist.
Well, I guess that's not a bad reason to make a movie. You can make a movie about it.
Well, it wasn't a
When
movie, it
when
was
is-
an album, right?
Oh yeah, an album.
No, the movie we were making was not about his divorce. But the
Oh,
album came out, and it was all about like the specifics of like what had happened because he had cheated on her, you know, and like left
Oh,
her
wow.
for this woman who stars in this short that he was doing, and like, you know, so then the Dixie Chicks lady put out this album because he also like tried to sue her for like the rights to that whole catalog or whatever, you know, to some of the rights because she made so much more money than he did, like so much more. The Dixie Chicks were fucking huge, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they
They
were.
still are. They still
Yeah.
are. Still are.
Now they're just the Chicks, though, right?
The Chicks, yeah.
I think they dropped the Dixie.
Dude, the Baseball Hippie Show definitely, that's a great way to start off the shout outs. Dixie Chicks get a major shout out because what the fuck, dude? We're the Baseball Hippie Show. They're the Dixie Chicks. They fucking rock. They fucking rock, yeah.
And I'm
You
gonna
know
shout
what I'm
out Adrian Pazdar for taking a chance on an unknown and
Yeah.
not getting anything out of it. Sorry, dude.
Well, they're like they're trailblazers, you know. They do their own thing. That's I think what the crux I'm learning about the show as it goes along. We really like Otani's just by far my favorite player on the premise that he's trying something new.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah, for sure.
Not that I like it all changed. I don't know, like we talk about that too, but you know, it's just part of the psychedelic realm.
Don't you think there's room in baseball for maybe more
Psychedelics.
experimentation? Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
baseball has a pretty rich
Yes.
history of like drug use, more than maybe any of the other sports. And yet its experimentation is by far the least.
and data collection.
Right. Statistics going back hundreds of years at this point that no other sport can compare with at all.
Yeah.
We
But
could be
that's
learning
also why-
so much about drugs through baseball, is what you're saying.
Basically.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Like,
But-
do you remember Lenny Smith?
No, not me.
Lenny Smith. He was on the Cardinals.
Sounds like a
He had a
Simpsons
WAR of like
character.
9.8, like just under Joe DiMaggio, way better than the best season of Tony Gwynn, way better. And then like years later, he like tried to kill his boss. He like waited for him out. You know, he drove to the Cardinals like facility and like waited in the parking lot, was gonna shoot his boss. You know, and like his story is insane. You know what I mean? Like, dude was crazy.
Whoa. We'll get into that.
Is it Lonnie Smith?
Lonnie, sorry, yeah,
Okay.
Lonnie Smith.
Lonnie.
Yeah. Still never heard any of that.
Yeah,
I was just
that's
trying to
interesting.
find this.
Yeah, there's immense amount of pressure.
Yeah. No, I mean at his peak,
That's the
he
dark
was
side.
like better than Tony Gwynn ever was. Like a whole point of WAR, better than Jose Canseco's best season. He like was pretty great. How you know
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah. I think we'll talk. Let's get into that. That's a good way to finish the show, because like we joked around about the all-time worst Mariners of all time, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll still joke around about it. But we also brought in that this is the darkest like segment we've ever run on the Baseball Hippie, because it's like negative, and like it was because the Mariners were playing mediocre. And what have they done since then? They played pretty well. So how about that? Maybe we're doing some seance, some like sage burning here. Anyway.
Maybe somebody who works for the Mariners, he's one of the few viewers, and he's like, getting some motivation out of that.
Shout out. Maybe Ben Zobrist is watching right now, and he's like, you're right, Baseball Hippie. When we get into the Ben Zobrist segment on ABC News that was printed this morning. Anyways, damn, Carver, lots of good topics tonight. And first shout out was the Dixie Chicks, but this is a part of the show where we do shout outs. I also wanted to shout out this game I got received in the mail.
What the fuck is that?
Stratomatic, Carver, you would love. It's
that
really
looks amazing.
Yeah, dude, it's a table game where you roll different dice. It's been around since like the 80s, and then like I'll show you. Also, I shouted out. I just gotta say this. I shouted out Big League Chew a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Dude, disgustingly, I ate through 30 packs of Big League Chew.
No way, dude.
Yeah, dude. I even had a
birthday
parameter that I
cake.
could only chew it when I watch baseball games. Like, I would just, gum is bad, dude. I'm over that.
Dude,
Chewed
that's
through the
so much
birthday
Big League
stash, dude.
It's bad. My dentist would not be proud of me saying that. So, like, you fold all these cards up there in a package right now.
Right.
But if you see on the card, the front is their defense, I think. Oh, is this upside down?
Yeah, it's upside down.
Yeah, the front's their defense. So if I roll a 3, blah, 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 you go down the card, roll a 6 or something. I got to read the rules again. It's not that hard. And there's 3 different levels of difficulty. They have, like, the 3rd level of difficulty, the hardest, has, like, weather. So this is, like, batting. Wow. Yeah. And then so, like, a lefty, it's versus lefty versus righty. And then you check the card. And then also you make mistakes. Like, sometimes you'll fuck up. But, like, it's mad. It's like it's the essence of fantasy sports. It was
Did
the
Bill
beginning.
James invent that? Or who?
Yeah.
Wasn't that his name?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, man. I think it's the crux of Moneyball. I keep saying the word crux. I think it's like the seed. It's like the Prometheus of Alien. It was like Bill James came to seem to admit that the reason that at least from the book Moneyball, that the reason he came up with all these sabermetrics is because he was just trying to get better at Stratomatic.
Really? No way. That's hilarious.
That makes sense. But I was like, wow, he really was like formulating like crazy like math problems based on stats. Because also those cards, it's what's cool about it is they only do the last year's version because they get the whole set of data and then they base all their rolls off. So they're like, it's the most statistically accurate sports table game ever created. So last year I got the projected stat, which is kind of weird because when you check the card now, they'll be like home run 39. You know, like,
yeah,
you know what? They didn't have 39 homers, but like, is what it is.
Did
you
have one for the 2020 season or is it 2019?
It's the COVID season 2020.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I had a choice to get projected stats or actual. And they were like, they kind of suggested get the projected because the game won't play. Like Javi Baez is the worst player in baseball, and they're like, they don't, they're kind of like, yeah, he's bad, but like he's definitely not the worst. Or he's not even bad. Like he's pretty good this year. The Cubs are good. It's like it is what it is.
Yeah. Rossi benched him the other day. Maybe even today. I don't know when that was. He like took him out in the 4th inning because he was kind of spacing. Like he wasn't leading off first, and then he forgot how many outs there were.
Really?
But, yeah. And then they asked him at the end of the game, like, what's going on? He's just like, it seemed like his head was elsewhere. He seemed distracted, I think was what he said. It's just like, I just took him out of the game.
I feel like I talked about this game once before on the pod, but do you guys don't remember MLB Showdown? It was like a card game where you rolled a d20. It was basically like the pitcher had a number like 1 through 5, and the batter had a number like 3 through 6, basically, and they would roll against each other, and then whoever won, you'd roll on their card. You know, so if the pitcher won, like the batter would have like a 17 through 20 per, you know, on a d20 to get a hit, and if the batter won, like a 4 through 20 chance to get a hit. You know, and then all the different hits, so like walk or whatever, you know, like all that shit. Yeah. And it was all based on if it was a big walk guy, maybe 4 through 11 would be a walk, and then single, and then you know, homer, whatever.
Yeah, Strato's similar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a dumbed down version of the game that you're playing, basically. You know, it was for kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I think I remember you talking about it, and I remember those cards. I don't know. I was too young to actually know how to play it.
I used to play it every weekend, man. I would go to the comic book shop.
Really?
MLB Showdown, baby. I loved it.
Dude, that's
Bring
tight.
it back, dude. Carver, you got to get in on this table game. We're having a little outing when we're playing table games in Shelton, Washington in July.
We got an Airbnb in Shelton in July.
Yeah, dude. It's so sad. I'm going to miss you coming up to Seattle.
I know.
I'm going to be in Chicago. We're going to be flying across. But yeah, Carver's coming up to the Northwest. Carver's obviously from LA. All our listeners should know that by now. Okay. You should be the one wearing these glasses. Carver's not left off bad and bougie when it comes to the baseball hippie show.
Well, it's funny because we know a guy, Buster. He works for Migos, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Buster Ross works for Migos.
What does he do? What is he, like a manager or something?
I can't really tell, but he's always taking pictures with them on tour and stuff. I don't think he's a manager. I think he's basically a PA, like a studio PA who they liked and got hired on to do stuff on tour. But he may tell me that I'm really wrong because I have no idea. That's just what I guess from looking at his pictures.
Whoa.
Because he was in that band Kid Crash and stuff. I think he was doing studio stuff and met him and hit it off.
Yeah, no, he's makes music too. At least he did in college.
Yeah,
I didn't know him that well. I just know him from the Soup.
Yeah, right. I think he's also a sex therapist now. I think he has a podcast about sex positive stuff.
Nice.
Sick.
Nice.
But anyways, guys, check out Buster Ross's podcast.
Shout out, double shout outs, triple shout outs. But yeah, that's the shout out part. We're gonna walk you through all our Carver, you've seen us go through a lot of stages, but now we got a formula, dude. We're gonna walk you through every segment. Everything will fit nicely, and at the end we'll wrap it up and we'll play the MLB the show.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what we do. But anyways, those are the shout outs, Dixie Chicks, Stratomatic, the Migos, Sex Positivity. Brownbear almost threw a no-hitter against me in the MLB The Show. We'll get into that a little later. But, hey, let's run. We've been talking about this for a long time. I'm really glad Carver's here because this is where the show's got to go. If we are any scrap of baseball left in us, I think we should which I don't mind, honestly. Some shows don't have to be. We have psychedelia and denuclearization, so a lot can happen. But Brownbear, this clip is eternally my favorite clip of the year. This is winning clip of the year for me by far. I think it already won, but unless something new, Scherzer's today, but a lot has gone down. So y'all, we're gonna start the weekly roundup. Brownbear, I love the weekly roundup. Carver, this is a very special weekly roundup for June 22nd. Again, we're going to be off next week because I'm going to be in Chicago visiting Josh Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. That's your name, too. This is an epic clip, and it's going to foreshadow our weekly roundup this week.
Dodger Stadium becomes the 15th big league park to return to full capacity. So you know the fans are excited. The players are certainly excited as well. And one of those players is joining us right now from inside the stadium in the Dodgers dugout. It is Trevor Bauer. Trevor, thank you so much for taking time to be with us. John Hartung, Jerry Hairston Jr., Nomar Garcia-Parra with you. We know there's a lot to talk about, but I want to begin with reopening day and your thoughts and your teammates' thoughts on being able to have a packed house once again here at Dodger Stadium.
We're all pumped, man. It's going to be awesome. Seeing the stands full of people that love baseball, they're out here to support us. Like, we love the fans. We love having them come out. Dodger fans travel really well, and we're excited to have them back here at home, Blue Heaven on Earth. It's going to be great.
Well, Trevor, I'm just going to get right to it. There's Nomar here, and I just want to say, MLB obviously came out with a statement today, and I was just about the sticky stuff about pitchers using, and I was just wondering what your reaction is to that.
Well, that looks illegal, but I guess that's not.
It looks very illegal, right? It's a combination of sweat and rosin, so I don't know if they can't outlaw sweat and they give me rosin, so am I going to get suspended for that? I don't know. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now is they haven't thought through a lot of these things. They just made the umpires judge, jury, and executioner. So if an umpire thinks that your hand is sticky, even if you have nothing on your hand, and he decides to throw you out because he doesn't like you, doesn't like the team, whatever, maybe you're arguing balls and strikes earlier, there's no appeals process. I can't go argue that my hand wasn't sticky an hour ago or whatever. And you haven't, the best analogy for this is you have basically people who have never seen traffic before have now been given no radar guns and have been told, hey, you're supposed to tell who's speeding and who's not, and then give them tickets, and there's no appeal process. So I'm supposed to look and say, oh, that is sticky, or that isn't sticky, or that guy's going 20 miles an hour, or that guy's going 120 miles an hour.
You're mixing the magic up, Trevor. But yeah, that is funny, y'all.
He's not wrong, which is the worst part.
No, he's definitely not wrong, and he's played villain on this show more than once, especially when he threw the ball over center field wall as a Clevelander, Carver.
I know.
And Terry Francona. What's up?
I had to cheer for him because he was on my team, but I did not like him as a person, like at all.
He really got a bad tag back then because
they traded him like that week.
Here, like we had a chance to go pretty far, and he had this drone injury, which was bullshit.
Yeah. But man, Terry Francona came out to the mound, and you could visibly hear him say, "What the fuck is wrong with this kid?" Kind of always a great moment in baseball. But I'm gonna say this, woo! Legal or not, I'm gonna be doing that a lot.
I know.
Remember, legal or not.
Legal or not.
How? What you have resin on your hand right now?
No, just tuck it.
Oh, okay.
The old magician trick. Okay, wait, do we have the Max Scherzer? Let's just get into it. Man, we've been talking sticky, icky, ooh-wee for like 3 weeks. It's like a pimple that me and Brownbear were snipped on it early because John Boy and MLB doesn't exist came out, and everybody's been, it's just been the theme. And then we just could feel the rumble under our feet. And I'd say this is the week where it really popped off because that was just the funniest interview. Like, also COVID, God, we're going to do one of those and we'll talk about that someday. But, like, things could open up here. It seems that that's where it's leaning. But that was just foreshadowed. Like, they were just like, oh, yeah, everybody happy to be here. It's just like, MLB's got a problem. It's just like that exemplifies, like, that's just the funniest. And Bauer won the Cy Young, didn't he? He won Cy Young last year.
He won Cy Young last year, yeah, for sure. He did.
That's their Cy Young talking of, like. Anyways, negotiations are going to be wild. It's going to be a wild summer. Can we just play what happened today? Do we have that?
Yeah.
Happened today.
Max Scherzer getting called. I think this is the third or fourth time during the game that he got called out by Joe Girardi. Wanted him to get checked. So let me get this pulled up here.
For the glue. Spider tack.
Try to throw somebody off their game, and Davey rightfully coming out to protect his guy to see what's going on here.
Starts to take his pants off.
One of the things is that Mac drops his hat, and Carlos Torres is going to get mad at him. This is in the middle of an inning after you struck a guy out. And it was initiated by the other manager. If I'm Davey, I'm not standing for this at all. And now Girardi's going to come out and become a bigger part of it.
Well, I love how Davey's coming out to protect his guy here. Girardi trying to find anything to get Max off his game, but honestly, I think it's only going to fire him up more and going to make him better. Try to throw somebody off their game, and Davey rightfully coming out to protect his guy.
There's a good angle too. He just got his pants up and he's got like this. He's like, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. You can just hear him yelling that.
Yeah. I was the number one recruit in baseball. Like maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm like really good.
We've talked. Yeah, me and Brown were having a discussion over the show the other day. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the like 15 current Hall of Famers playing the game.
Yeah.
So one thing you missed there.
I mean, imagine somebody doing that to Greg Maddux or something. You know? Like,
yeah, but Greg Maddux didn't play through the sticky era, man.
I know.
Glue. This all we can. We'll walk us down memory lane, but bro, I want to hear your take on it because the pimple has popped.
The pimple has popped. Now, I was just gonna say the thing we missed there is Girardi coming out of the dugout even further, and he starts trying to pick a fight. It seems like with Scherzer, and he ends up getting ejected out of the game. The Phillies manager.
Really?
Yeah.
Joe Girardi. Wow.
Joe Girardi trying to from all accounts was trying to pick a fight with Max Scherzer over this thing because I think as Scherzer, like the angle wasn't perfect, but as Scherzer was starting to like undo his belt and like take his pants, open his pants a little bit, he was like staring down Girardi. So I think he took it personally, and then
as well he should if it's the third or fourth time.
Absolutely,
he's been checked.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's out of hand. It's like
you should only get to ask for the umps to check the pitcher maximum twice a game.
Yeah.
For a reliever once. Sorry. That's all you get. You get one time. Pick it well. If you're wrong, then he gets to cheat, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the rules should be, but currently it seems pretty willy-nilly. I think it's starters can be checked throughout the game. There's really no limit to the amount of times a starter can be checked. And then relievers are checked as they're coming out of the inning that they entered in or when they're taken out of the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, the MLB crackdown.
That's a lot of checking, mostly because, like, I mean, offenses have been down this year, right? Like, they want to do something, I guess, to, like, but they can't really believe that it's that big of an issue, right? This is something that's existed in baseball for a long-ass time. These people aren't doing anything new, I don't think.
No. But
can we get an image of Spider Tack just to like? This is just the substance of the hour. But from what I gather, it started at guys getting in the bigs and the other guys being like, "You see this ball sticking in my hand?" And the younger guys being like, "Yeah, how the fuck do you do that?" It's like sweat and rosin, bruh. And then it got to like. Because, you know, like baseball grows and the people, it got just like, yeah, dude, if you use weight training, like glue that they like put, then it like, oh no, man. But it was kind of like the white flavor in Airheads for a while. You didn't know what it was, but you thought it was some type of melon. But now we pretty sure this because of that interview with Garrett Cole where they're like, some person asked, have you ever used Spider Tack? And he goes, deadpan silence. It's like,
really?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know how to answer that question. Yeah, he gets all diplomatic, dude.
If you haven't seen it, I gotta pull it up if you've not seen this.
Yeah.
Tell me you use Spider Tack without telling me you use Spider Tack.
That is how to answer it. Yeah, and he's the lead. He's like one of the head of the Players Association, and he's this it goes deeper, Carver, because he and Trevor Bauer played on the same college team and were supposedly rivals.
Rivals, but on the same team.
Yeah, and Trevor Bauer originally called him out for his spin rate going up because he was using a foreign substance. So basically, Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole are the reason this is on the news. I mean, maybe not, but feels that way. It feels like a little feud from two college friends got to this level because Garrett Cole is a $200 million heir, and Trevor Bauer, they both won Cy Youngs in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff in baseball. So this is what baseball is about. This is where we've come, if you've been wondering. I know you're more of a basketball fan. Shout out to NBA.
Learning.
Well,
knows something about building a business.
I don't know how we got here. I know how we got here, but I don't know where we'll go. Not yet. Not yet. But first, we're going to play this ad for baseball. Caliente.
Have you ever used spider tap?
Okay, this is great.
Have you ever used spider tap while pitching?
I don't know.
It didn't freeze.
I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. I mean, there are customs and practices that have been passed down from older players to younger players, from the last generation of players to this generation of players, and I think there are some things that are certainly out of bounds in that regard, and I've stood pretty firm in terms of that, in terms of the communication between our peers and whatnot. And I, again, like I mentioned earlier, there's, this is important to a lot of people that love the game, and this is including the players in this room, including fans, including teams. And so if MLB wants to legislate some more stuff, that's a conversation that we can have.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry,
So
it took
what
me a
did
minute
he
to
use
find
for
that.
spider tack that he is like acknowledging there? He's acknowledging that there's a use for it. What is that use?
Oh, man. Carver, dude. Let's get you caught up. Well, supposed use is the spin rate is a measurable thing that can go up, and it doesn't necessarily mean velocity, which was in my eyes, I look at velocity as almost like batting average, and now spin rate is like OPB because a person can have average velocity and be a great pitcher with
Right.
spin rate,
ERA and whip.
curveballs, but also just fastballs. Now, I've said it on the show, this might be a little more subjective, but what I gather, and this is because we've heard this from other sources, whether it's podcasts that do stuff like this or just players, it seems like, but the real thing is it sticks to your finger just a bit longer, and that creates more action. That when you're throwing it, when you're flicking your wrist as hard as you can and just putting your whole thing into it like a pitcher does, and it catches just 1 millisecond longer, what it does is create crazy action. And I think I feel like I've been able to see it a little bit in the game where
Sure.
balls just do
See
the
a
left and
fastball,
right, the
just,
cutters, the
just
sliders.
back over the plate.
But he's saying these things have been passed down. So people have been utilizing rosin or something to affect the ball since the beginning of the sport, right?
Well, I wouldn't
it's always
say-
been an advantage for the pitcher.
I wouldn't call this on the level of Balco necessarily, but suppose it,
Not at
there's
all.
no, but there's a guy on the Angels who's getting reprimanded as giving this formula to other pitchers on other teams. He's no, he's someone who works for the Angels got fired, and supposedly this is kind of, Brownbear, is that part of it a little more hearsay though?
I actually haven't heard about that. But I mean, I think to answer the question Carver had, it has been largely ignored by MLB for years, and I think that's why players like Bauer, players like Cole are saying this kind of stuff, is because it seemingly didn't become an issue or something that they needed to address in this way until it became like a public concern, until people were asking reporters about it and stuff. So
yeah,
I think that's what he means in terms of it's been passed down by.
It's got a spotlight on it, and certainly there was a spitball era in sports, and once people started, to acknowledge it, right, and once it started getting covered, the MLB had to react and outlaw the spitball, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what he's getting at, as both in what he's saying with being passed down from generation to generation, and then my favorite part about what he's saying is well, if MLB wants to litigate this or regulate this, we can have that conversation. It's already against the rules. The only legal substance you can use is rosin. So I think on the lower end you have mixtures of pine tar and rosin, or mixtures of sunscreen and rosin is a big thing. But then there are people using things like this Spider Tack. Spider Tack is a weightlifting adhesive, and it's, when I was looking it up, it's specifically for stone lifting and what the caber toss, is that what that big telephone pole throwing thing in the Highland Games? I think that's Scotland. I think that's what it's used for. And that's super glue, basically. That's super gluing a ball to your fingers, essentially.
It's got no legitimate use in the sport. Is that what I meant to understand? There's no legitimate use for Spider Tack within baseball.
Not according to MLB, but according to pitchers, I think it helps them. And even actually batters have come out and said, I don't really care about pitchers doing this. I would rather them be able to throw the ball exactly where they want it than to risk them hitting me in the face.
Right.
Also, the batting average of the league has gone down significantly this year, and they're trying to figure that out.
Right. I feel like that's part of it.
Place of blame. Yeah.
I mean, the Indians are, the Cleveland team is doing pretty good this year, and their batting average is god awful, right?
Well, let me
dealing with a similar thing. Pretty terrible batting average.
Well, you could argue that could have something to do with the way teams are built, because not only is it Moneyball, I hate to say it, A-Rod, and I'll find this breakdown somewhere. It made a great breakdown where he was arguing that there's a movement that's counter Moneyball. And I thought about this the other day. That has to do with lots of solo shots and walks, I guess. I got to find this this thing.
I mean, home runs and walks are literally Moneyball.
Yeah, but no. Okay, so I'll find this thing. Anyways, you're right. So home runs and walks are Moneyball. And I think that adds to it. But I don't know, man. Oh yeah, one more thing to add to the fold of this too is Garrett Cole and Bauer have had some rough seasons. And there's something to be said about if DeGrom got caught using Spider Tack, I'd almost be yeah, but DeGrom really never had a huge bad season. He never just had a bad season, really, in my estimate. Maybe he did in his younger days, but Garrett Cole was really slumping. We talked about this on the show. He was actually really going to the dumpster, and then he went to Houston and won a Cy Young. And I think that could naturally happen for 1,000 different reasons. But the same thing happened to Bauer. He had an okay season. He's kind of slumping on Cleveland. Then he went to the Cincinnati. Won a Cy Young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's been, throughout sports. Remember, Pedro had an ERA of 4 before he went to, especially pitchers that use control or use off-speed stuff have been utilizing some form of throwing sweat on it. I can't throw the fastball like you. I have to do whatever I can to make sure I'm on an MLB team, And I think there's some truth to that.
True words. Yeah. Hey, real quick, Carver introduced me to Brockmeyer, which I know Brownbear's watched. I'm on the episode where Tim Kirchin and Joe has this running feud with Joe Buck. It's a frenemies relationship.
Or he thinks Joe Buck took a shit in his bed.
Yeah, but he finds out he didn't.
Yeah.
Just that Tim Kirchin is there just like made me laugh so hard. So yeah, shout out Tim Kirchin.
The Joe Buck
there
thing
were some
keeps
other
coming
big
back
dogs there,
throughout all the seasons. I think. I feel
Yeah,
like
Joe Buck's a recurring character. He's great in it,
Yeah.
I think. Really funny.
That's awesome.
That show is highly underrated. Highly underrated. The people who know about it appreciate it. But.
And so far, everyone's liked it. I've watched it all the way through, I think, at least twice.
I mean, it was on IFC, right? I think that's like
IFC,
a fairly inaccessible channel to some people.
Until it got on Hulu, and now it's on Hulu, so people can watch it.
Nice. Yeah, Baseball Hippie, much approved. Brockmire, it's a little twisted. Definitely put your kids to bed is all I gotta say about the
But it's
show.
got a good heart. Like at its core,
got
I
late
feel like it's
night,
got a good heart.
Dude, yeah,
I
he
think
just
he wanted to
Hank's
drink.
area lives that role,
Yeah.
dude.
He gets sober in season 3, and like from then on is like sober, quote unquote, and it's still really good, even with him like being completely sober. Like it's like good.
Because when he snorted an abortion pill, I had to text you and be like, "Carver, what the f, dude?" Like, damn, like the show just, and then the next episode was Tim Kirchin. So yeah, it gets real. It gets real. There's some moments, but it's a character. You build a character.
I love. The whole show is really funny. The first time that he's like gonna have a 3-way with Pedro Uribe, and he's like, "We got to set some ground rules." And Pedro's like, "Anything that you do to me when my dick isn't a woman is not gay. So do a lot of it." It's like one of my favorite lines.
That's so funny.
Oh god, I can't wait to get to that episode. Actually, I can wait. But I do like watching Brockmire, and I'm gonna try to finish all the seasons. But there are times where I'm just like, man, this is a twisted, like this show's twisted. So
It's twisted, it is, but it's good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking about Sticky Icky with us. We've just like they finally put the penalties in place. So Bremer's got a list of that so that we just know. And then that just meltdown this morning was just like great, or this evening was just crazy. And I think Phillies fans are just on edge. Maybe Girardi watched the Sixers game, and that's why that like all came through. But Bremer, are there any like? Do you want to go through the like? Is there anything notable in the new rules that we haven't really? Because I know you went over a little bit, but is there anything we should like finish on? Like, obviously, there's new rules in place, and people are pissed the fuck off. But like,
dude, it's intense. So I was mentioning, for a starter can be checked anytime during the game. Start of the game, middle of the inning. Seemingly from the Girardi thing, can just the opposite team's manager can just be like, I didn't like how he struck out my guy. Check him for sticky. So really anything goes. And then if the umpires determine that yes, you've got sticky or you've got some sort of foreign substance that we're not okay with, they can immediately eject you, automatically suspend for 10 games. You still get paid. But during that, this is the biggest thing to me about it, is during that 10 game stretch, your team cannot replace you on the roster.
What?
So they're trying to make it so like nobody does it, and so
you already have to have a starter up. You know, obviously most people have a long reliever, some spot starter, but like you obviously already have to call up people before you might want to.
Definitely, because you're gonna miss at least one start, if not two, depending on how many starters you have. If you're running a 5-man rotation, you're gonna miss 2 starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big deal, and so they haven't detailed this, but repeat offenders are subject to progressive penalties. So like with PEDs, I think it's first like a 80 game
100 full season.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. And then, so pitchers checked multiple times a game, but it's not only, so the pitcher bears the brunt of the responsibility, but say like the catcher is caught putting sticky on the ball and giving it to the pitcher, or like they're going around the horn and the shortstop slaps some sticky on it, the pitcher's still the one who gets suspended.
What?
The position player would get taken out of the game, but the pitcher would still get suspended. It's crazy. They've really thought out, like, I mean, it seems like they're really trying to eradicate it from the game. So the only legal substance you can put on a ball is rosin. And they went as far as to, I forget who it was. There's some interview the other day. I don't think it was Manfred, but it was some other baseball executives talking about, we would recommend if it's going to be a night game, like, don't put sunscreen on your body, because the umpire might determine you don't need sunscreen on you right now, and you're trying to use that as an advantage to mix with the rosin, so that we're going to toss you out of the game. That's
crazy.
Fucking
insane. So I should expose myself to skin cancer because you think I might gain some advantage in the sport? I'm sorry, but that advantage needs to exist then. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So yeah, I mean that's the basics of it. But the craziest thing to me is that they can't replace the player after they're suspended. To my knowledge, no one's been suspended yet. Been multiple people checked. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. If multiple people are checked for the next, like, what do we say, like a month, maybe the fervor dies down. Like, if there's empirical evidence that this is not a real issue, then, like, who cares about the rules? I mean, it should. Yeah. We'll probably stop getting checked,
Yeah. So the other big thing that comes into play here, this also was big news this week, is Tyler Glasnow, it's like the ace for the Rays, has a partial UCL tear. He's at this time trying to rehab. He's not going to do Tommy John surgery, but he basically came out and said, like, I've been using a concoction of sunscreen and rosin, and I train with that. I practice with that because I've been doing that for years. And he's like, wow. He also admitted, like, I throw over 100. I throw 100 or over. I'm over. I think he's like 6'4" or something. He's a huge dude. So he's what's the word? Preordained. Preordained. Mm-hmm. He's susceptible to these kind of injuries just based on his body size, based on how hard he's throwing. But he came out and said he feels like, 2 or 3 weeks ago he stopped doing this and he tried to wean himself off of these substances he's been using. And he feels like the injury happened because he was gripping the ball differently. He was gripping the ball tighter to try and maintain that spin rate that he had. And he feels like if he didn't do that, if he wasn't having to do that, it wouldn't have led to this injury. He said he was waking up with new soreness in his arm that he never had before after he consciously made this decision to try and grip the ball differently and stop using the sticky. So he was pretty heated about it. He's like, his thing is they shouldn't have done it in the middle of the season. They should have. There's
gave him an off season to, like, adapt. Let him train.
Totally. And there's this coming off season. There's a new collective bargaining agreement session coming up with the union. So that would have been a good time to, like, figure all this out and figure out how they're going to implement it. Not just literally halfway through the season come out and say, okay, you guys need to cold turkey stop this entirely. We understand you've been practicing, training, working out this way for your entire career, but now you have to completely stop. So I don't know. I don't necessarily. I'm curious how much it did play into his injury, but it's not out of the question for me that could have something to do with it.
Oh, for sure, because you're pushing your body in different ways. I think that it was kind of eye-opening to me for you to say that he was, like, training with it and using it for multiple years. Like, I hadn't thought of it that way. I just assumed that, like, when they needed to, they used it or whatever. And never think that, like, this has, like, been an okay thing in the sport, or, like, just a thing that, like, everyone just assumed was fine, like we've got sunscreen, we're allowed to use rosin, and we have sweat, so why wouldn't we put them all three together and put it on the ball, right? It gives us a competitive advantage. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but I just hadn't thought of it until you know.
Yeah.
I also want to get a little existential since we've gotten to the nitty-gritty of it, which is, like, baseball has always been a very strong reflection of I say mankind in this. I like to say humankind, obviously, because we share the planet with all sorts of types of people. But I do say it as mankind because baseball is such a gender specific thing, So it's like, anyways, who makes the rules? Are umpires cops? We've asked on this show. And C is like, I feel like this reflects on greater society. It seems like the biggest play here is pitchers do not like being policed by people who can't throw 100 miles an hour, nor by the people who can hit 100 miles an hour. So they just think, I don't know, umps get no respect really, but I think that seemed to be what was Bauer's biggest problem. He's like, I don't think an ump should determine whether I should stay in the game or not.
But Jesse, tell me
they're not experts on substance. They just call balls and strikes.
Why should umps do this, though? Why should they call balls and strikes? We already have robot boxes that on our TVs that can tell us if it was a ball or a strike. Why are umps still doing that job? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm with you, Carver. Bring on the robots.
Right behind the batter, a light should go off. It was, they hear a sound in the stadium. Why are umps doing this job? I don't understand.
That's the plan for when they're working towards it. I think the East Coast minor leagues are testing out the system now, but it's essentially like a 3-point laser camera system that determines whether it's a ball or strike based off the measurements of the player. And there's still an umpire at home plate, and it feeds to the umpire through a headset.
Right.
Whether that's a ball or strike, and they still make a call.
Your job. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and they still make calls at the plate and things like that. So I'm with you 100%.
Well, let's take a lot of power out of their hands because, this shit is all captured on cameras. NBA referees, I feel the same way. Fucking football, I feel the same way. This shit could be determined perfectly most of the time.
Yep.
And why aren't we doing it?
Well, the answer to that question, I gotta say, it runs deep because corporate executives make decisions based on profit earnings, and we as fans and call just people into the game are on some other shit. But I'll tell Brownbear in a minute, I'll boo a ump, I'll boo a robot. I'm a Luddite when it comes to baseball, but I kind of agree at this point now. This is something the Baseball Hippie has brought up many times on the show as a counterpoint. What is a strike, Carver? These curveballs, man, they are hard even with the 3 triangulation. And Brownbear has also argued with the science, it's there. But I will still argue if it's my team, that there are certain things that even the EQC tracer, man, what does the Emerald Queen Casino know about curveballs coming in and out of the zone at such a rate that it's almost hard for science to ever measure if it's a strike or not.
I get what you're saying,
almost subjective. It's almost subjective. It's that wild.
What is the plane created as a pitch, right? Ever since the ephus was created, people have had the problem of how do we determine what a strike zone is. Right? Exactly. Coming down through the zone from up there shouldn't be a strike to me, but I get how it is because the zone exists in front of you and it's this box.
Well, I think the bigger thing at play here is the consistency. I think if we have the camera system, robot, whatever you want to call it, determining whether or not that is a strike, it's going to be that same call consistently. And then I think the issue kind of negates itself on whether or not the curveball coming in at the top of the zone, leaving bouncing off the plate or whatever, is a strike or not. It doesn't matter because it's going to become consistent with this.
The zone will always be this box that's in front of you.
Consistency with knees, the shoulders, players, height varieties is what concerns me a little bit. But I do agree. Remember, I think it can be dialed in with more like B machine learning, but A just they are machines, so they can dial them in.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my understanding of the way it's going to work is that the player each individual player is measured for their specific strike. It's not just
Is it based off their stance or their height?
I don't know, but I think that I don't know exactly how
some
it's going to
people
work, but I think
like
it
some
does
people
change
purposely
player to
get a
player.
low stance. Okay,
But that's fine.
anyways,
But like, I don't think everyone can hit like all crunched up like that. Some dudes got to like.
Not everyone, but some people choose to because it gives them a competitive advantage.
I think that's
thing,
fine.
right?
If you can squat on the plate and swing for a base hit, that like do it then, I guess. But like, I don't know.
That's what I think too.
Joey Cora.
Like, whatever you can do, like to get. I mean, in World War
So
II, it's famous. That
you're taught if you're
person
short in Little
died.
League, just shorten your strike zone is what they would call it when you were young. When I was a little 8-year-old, they'd be like, shorten your strike zone, which means just like crouch so they can never so you could draw a walk.
I would yell that at Richie Sexton every time he stepped to the plate.
Yep.
Like, you're too tall, dude. Shorten that strike zone, dog.
Sexton should have been a starting pitcher. That's what happened. That was what's wrong with it. But man, talk about leverage. That dude's a lesson in physics, man. When he threw a hammer on the. Hey, check this in Psychedelia, right? They brought a midget out, or excuse me, they brought a little person. Excuse me, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm still learning. But anyways, they brought a little person out there, and this was in like the 50s, to short or like the early century. Yeah,
when a lot of players were getting drafted, it was like that was kind of a stunt. But
it's just notable because of the strike zone conversation, and as we bring in the robots, what kind of things are the managers going to do to trick the robot? Or excuse me, the robot.
Literally, that's a good idea. That dude would lead off and then get pinch run for every time because you get a walk after every first bat, and then they pinch run for their normal whatever center fielder.
I want to go back to some of the greatest tenets of base. Brownbear says consistency. I agree, but also one of the greatest tenets of baseball, even around that decades, is like I think the collective bargaining has actually empowered, like the way that the baseball somehow players got their contracts to where they are is kind of weird, and it's going to we've talked about that as well, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's going to be like a future of like what you might call socialist tenets in the game. I think the policing has to come to the players at some point. That's how I feel truly about this issue. I feel the same about steroids. If they were like, if all the players wanted to do steroids, then I don't know that. I don't think it would be. I think the players wouldn't. It would never get there because organically the players are a lot like the fans. They do like the game. In the end of the day, they make millions of dollars off of it, obviously. But they're like, look, we play an old game. We understand. We want to like keep it going. That's my idea. I don't know.
Yeah, and they got to keep it popular. That's going to be an issue as you watch more Brockmeyer. Is like baseball, because it's so old, right? It has trouble. It might have trouble keeping fans in the future. It's like a 3-hour game. They're trying to shorten it, but like it's 3 hours long, and it's kind of boring. Maybe for some kids, right? And so these players understand that they have to have. It's not just about the money. It's not like in basketball where if you're 7 foot tall, you can just love Call of Duty and still make the NBA, okay? And your first contract will be out. In baseball, you gotta love the game a little bit. You would have played another sport.
Yeah, exactly. Again, corporate execs, dude. There is a force in our game, and it's called corporations, and they are wild, dude. We sit around every week and have a podcast about baseball.
Yeah.
They sit around every week and are like, all right, how are we going to enforce these laws so that these motherfuckers stop using weightlifting glue? There's just so much going down. And when it comes to refereeing in the NBA, when it comes to umpiring, I think you got to put in this idea of like, gambling or wanting to win, there's forces at play, man. We talk about conspiracy all the time on this show.
baseball of the sports though is the easiest to automate, quote unquote. Just because in the NBA, like if you were really gonna be like counting fouls, there might be a foul on every single play. If you were looking at all the players, like there might be a back pick on somebody where it's a moving screen. There might be, people touching each other and it's technically a foul. Like literally on every play. But in baseball, for the most part, because people aren't touching each other, like it could be fairly automated where you give them a strike zone and you're just like, that's it for this game. Everyone knows it. Everyone plays by it. And it like levels the field, where there's like no other interaction,
I don't know the answer, Sway, but I will say my thing from the creation of the baseball hippie is it's not the game itself has to change. Although I do foresee it changing drastically because, like, that's just the futurology. We're in the new century of 20. Like, baseball was invented in the 1800s. It's 2021. It is a wild time. But what I feel like that brings baseball is the summer vibe that we're stepping into. It's the true essence of baseball is this kind of, like, country, like, Americana vibe, and it does now relate to an international vibe, but like the weird, the kooky, some beer drinking, maybe some psychedelics. Why not? A little party vibe. Bring the party vibe. Like I thought that the Bastards of Baseball was the most groundbreaking thing, where it's like they kind of turned it into WWF, and it worked really well on a local level. And I'm saying, like, well, the MLB has all these minor leagues that already people go to. They should mix it up more. Like, fun shit that, like, and, like, they try, but it's just the corporate vibe is so heavy.
Bastards of Baseball, right? I don't know if that's a movie, but I read the book because I took baseball more than a game at Evergreen.
Oh, nice.
And we had to read that book for the class.
Nice. Yeah, okay. Well, it's probably the same thing. It's like, what is it? That famous actor's father bought the team, or no, he bought the team. Jeff Bridges? No, not.
No.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. This baseball was about like barnstorming, basically. Like teams that would like they competed in a minor league, but they would also
this is like a late 70s, early 80s thing, right? Yep, same thing. Portland had a huge team, yeah.
And it's like,
Kurt Russell's dad. Kurt Russell's dad.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that truly is where the essence of what could rejuvenate baseball is in that movie and is in that vibe. Where it's not the rules or the batting average going down. Everybody's concerned about I've been wrong a lot, but like I'm not concerned because I'm like, well, look, you got a 23-year-old who's just obviously the best in the league. So why is he hitting the ball? Why is he hitting the skin off the ball and everybody else sucks? Like maybe you got to be better at the game now and you got to really go a little harder. And like maybe the young gunners are just going to be a younger game.
If we did like European soccer and
had the oversimplification. What's that?
I was gonna say, what if we did like European soccer and had relegation leagues where like you could lose your spot in the league if
that's
you didn't
a good
play
idea.
well enough?
I think it's a good idea,
dude. Mariners execs would be frightened to think that the Cheney Stadium would be the major league stadium in the area, and that Safeco would then be relegated to a minor league.
I'm sure they would switch stadiums. They would switch stadiums.
Oh, right? They would switch stadiums.
I mean,
I would root for the Rainiers over the Mariners in a heartbeat, but they would probably switch players too. They would just like.
It would kind of mess up the way the minor league system is structured, unless you made like the relegations out of like the current major league teams, create like 2 or 3 different tiers, and then add some expansion teams. But I think it would freshen things up a little bit.
Like, imagine if the Major League Baseball was 14 teams and, or 16, and the rest were relegated, right? Mm-hmm. So every year, the top 4 make it to MLB, and the bottom 4 go to relegation. It would be terrible for the teams in the relegation. We'd never reach it. But it would be better for the sport.
I'll say this. could see it. And I'll go farther here. I think it should start not from relegation. Where it should start is all the core major league teams play each other, interleague play and your divisions, but they play less games against each other. They play maybe 120, and then 46 games you play like AAA teams so that they can come get looks in big parks. It's like Springfield. Like what's the hat you're wearing? I'm wearing the Colorado Vibes, dude. What if they came and played a game and it was like still like on the record, but it was kind of like cups, like the soccer does too. So it's like you can win a cup in the middle of a season. You play like a quick tourney and like real underdog shit, where Cinderellas can come. Like that's the Jacksonville,
Jumbo shrimp.
And then so first they start
Jacksonville Rainbow Shrimp.
Yeah,
Jacksonville
Jumbo Shrimp. Excuse me.
Jumbo.
Yeah, so it starts with AAA and AA with all the great creativity that's there and all the weird little spots in America that get no love, because only big cities do the big teams. And then they move it to the international game, and the WBC isn't a 4-year. It is still a 4-year Olympic. But Korean teams, because now there's like a 40 relegated games that are for like exhibition, quote unquote, but they still kind of count for whatever reason. Maybe they count as a quarter of a real game or something. And then Korean teams come in, and then Mexican league teams come in, and then we have like this whole cross, like where it's like, holy shit.
Japanese, yeah.
It's like, it's like clubs go. It's like, okay, the Mariners are gonna go play in the Korean league for like a week or two, kind of like when Chelsea comes and plays, the Sounders, so that just to get people drunk. That's really it. Yeah. Just to like get people out.
Worried about losing that money. That's the way to make it back, right? Like all these things, like expand across, because it really is an international game now. Why aren't they taking advantage of it? I know they've talked about a team in Mexico City, but like I think what you're talking about makes even more sense because it could be done. It could be implemented. I mean, I don't know logistics are an issue. But it could be implemented like within 3 seasons. They figure out the logistics of like how are we going to interact with these other leagues,
and it might fix some of the issues players seem to be having as the new. Again, this is a new generation thing. It feels like, but I don't think the new generation likes the season. But if you touch the 160 game season, that Bill Jameses of the world would not be happy. They would be on some like, dude, there's like a sanctity, the Stratomatics. But I think they would substitute to be like, look, it's like the Yankees are like Real Madrid. Like they're the only team in the bigs that really took it there. Steinbrenner saw the vision. You should be more like European clubs where like you just rent. People want to go see you. You're the best entertainment on earth. Why just play in the U.S.? Go travel around. Also, you could, Real Madrid plays all the best teams in the world on their exhibition tour, but then they go on and play Roma, which is a big city, excuse me, but they go on and play name a small Italian league team. I think it would be fun and they even play Class B teams sometimes, I think, so it's like be fun to see the Mariners, play Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Just honest to God, it would be. Now, if they just start whooping on them, then maybe we would be singing a different tune. Where
straight up, the Mariners could get beat by some AAA teams.
I feel like it sometimes.
And that's another reason why they probably won't do it, because the embarrassment would be like bad. Because ultimately, sports are kind of random. Like that shit will happen. You're gonna lose. But like, I mean, even the Yankees will lose to some shitty team sometimes. It's just gonna happen.
Not if you're Jacob deGrom, though. That's the one person right now on Earth who nothing bad happens to.
But even he won't be
true
like
baseball
forever.
fan. Everybody, listen to the words of this man. He knows that comes from years of watching baseball. Brady and Brownbear have talked about this. There's no such thing as untouchable. It's always. There's a sick tragedy in this game, and it's like DeGrom might have a .50 ERA, but it's not. It's the curveball. It's the lefty hitting a curveball in Game 6 to Kershaw. It's like it's all he's just. Kershaw's the greatest example of the tragedy that is being a dominant starting pitcher in the league. No such thing as untouchable. But man, shout out to Jacob DeGrom, .50.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Thought they had an injury, a season-ending injury. Turns out, nah, he's all right. Just a little arm fatigue. He's actually
Totally fine.
pitched again since then.
I literally got an ESPN update on my phone. DeGrom has season-ending injury, and then later, never mind.
Yeah, got a second look. So, yeah, shout out to Jacob DeGrom, but that was weird. I just
you want to hear my 4 worst favorite members of the Cleveland Indians?
Oh yeah, we'll pull up on that here in a second. We're almost done with the weekly roundup, man. This has been a big weekly roundup. So yeah, we'll get there. We're good. Okay, so DeGrom, we got a show list here. Don't worry. We also want to get to Wander Franco.
Okay.
He is the number 1 overall prospect, and he hit the game-tying homer in his 3rd at bat. So shout out Wander Franco. He's going to be a beast. A lot of young gunners. And then shout out to the Mariners. 4-game sweep of Tampa. 3 walk-off victories. 1 again today in almost a walk-off victory. And we ran our first skit, Carver, a couple episodes ago. And it was me talking to the baseball gods if the Mariners are good. And they tormented me by saying, "You'll just have to wait and see." And so I've been left in agony. And they pretty much went on a losing streak since then. Now have come over 500 and are kind of almost good again. We're like, dare I say.
They're playing pretty good right now. It's been a good week.
They're a lot like me and MLB The Show, which I also want to bring into the weekly roundup. Last show, I said to Brownbear, we said we were almost as good as each other. And then I had a 2-game winning streak, and then he went on to win like 7 games in a row. I quit multiple
like 2 or
games.
3 like one-hitters. Like I
He
took
pitched
a no-hitter
and they
into the
broke
7th,
in
and the game
8th.
froze.
It broke. The game like
froze.
froze during a no-hitter.
So,
You'll
I
never
don't
know.
Jess, did you unplug your machine?
No, definitely not.
I don't know what's happening.
But I
This
did
game
bunt
froze.
on a no. He had a no-hitter going into the 5th the other day, and I bunted, and I told him I felt bad. He said, "God damn, Jess, you are so
you're
fucking
punked for that
dirty."
one.
I
You're
play
punked for that
so
one.
crazy dirty. Like, I'll throw at his head sometimes, and he'll be like, "Whoa, bro." I'm just like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm a dirty." Like, when it comes to MLB The Show, I play like straight street level prison style baseball. And yeah, I bunted in the 5th, and I said out loud, I was like, that didn't make me feel good. I then got a hit and won the game, but like, I was like, I'm not gonna do that again. That was out of bounds. That was fucked up. Because if he does no hit me, which he's kind of been on the brink of a few times, I'm kind of weirdly excited because he's my friend. So it's like, it's weird because I'm the one getting no hit against, but I'm also like, I don't know, man. It's like a mom watching her two sons play professionally against each other.
I feel like hit me a couple years ago with Chris Sale.
I almost.
You almost did? Okay.
But I was smoking dabs back then, man. And like, I tell you right now, one dab.
More dabs.
What you got to do is like, you can't wait 5 minutes. I just need one dab, and then you go right into it, 30 seconds into it. And if I'm the right pitcher, I'm that pitcher. I'm there. I'm in the game.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's virtual reality straight up. It's like my cellular level. I'm there. Simulation, man. So anyways, that's the weekly roundup for this week. Thanks for joining us, Carver. The last point is the Ben Zobrist thing, but we'll close the show with that because that's kind of like a, what do we call that? 7th inning stretch or extra innings segment. So yeah. Let's get into what we went into last last show, and then we're gonna put you in the batter's box real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Carver. But last week, 2 weeks ago, we had some scheduling stuff. We were gonna have Carver on, but we didn't. But it's fine because we ran Mariners all-time worst, and we actually had a great debate about it. So without further ado, we bring you, which will now hang on the Baseball Hippies wall for the rest of the show, so we'll probably have this in some of our backgrounds, the all-time worst Mariners team roster photo. And I thought you'd get a kick out of this.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And so, yeah, shout out Brown Bear for putting this together. We got all the all-time worst together in the same room.
I think I see Sean Figgins there.
Figgins, definitely. Ayala. We actually had a platoon.
So Bobby Ayala's actually.
Oh no!
It was.
The Bobby Ayala one cracks me up because he was actually in this photo, and I just made the picture bigger. He's the only one that's not photoshopped in.
Ayala's the only one. Yeah, also Vogelback and Smoke platoon, and Robinson Cano gets on the board because he took steroids.
Is Mario Mendoza up there?
Yeah,
he's got to
Mario
be.
Mendoza is right below Ayala,
like
I believe.
the bottom right
Oh, yeah, there
of
he
the second row.
Got the classic pitchfork.
Did you know who didn't make it though?
It's a work in progress. We can always
Mike
add
Morse.
somebody.
Mike Morse is guy we got to add at some point, unless he got on there somewhere. Ackley's
up at the top.
Mike
center
Morse
here.
also took steroids, so that's just you get shamed here. Tisk. The baseball hippie has never taken steroids, y'all. He's taking a whole lot of other stuff. Oh, it's good to be on the podcast, y'all. So yeah, that's the all-time worst, and we celebrate that. Honest. That's an honest celebration. Failure, there's nothing wrong with it. And at that level, it's pretty intense, You got execs breathing down your neck. Carver got straight.
You almost got a full team here. I mean, you at least you can field a full team, and then you got some pitchers.
Well, we can round it out. We actually have a real big list of pitchers, but it's just pick your era, pick your decade, man.
Right.
Bullpenners on the Mariners have been, especially in this stadium. But Rostrimsky, special shout out. Also, I was looking through a lot of stats to do research on this, and you find that like Buhner and Jim Presley and Mike Cameron are not on the all-time worst. They're good. They could almost be on the all-time best. They all had multiple 150 strikeout seasons.
Yeah, and batting under 250 multiple times, right?
Yep. The game's done changed. I got to pull up this next show. I'll pull up this A-Rod.
But Buhner had an arm and could throw people out who were trying to get triples, and Mike Cameron was a great fielder. So, they were out there for different, for stuff. It's not like they were completely worthless.
We also, I think, when I was doing my list, I kept it to people who had over 500 plate appearances for the team. There's a lot of people we could add that could be considered all-time worst Mariners who were so bad that they didn't even make it to 500 plate appearances. So
sure. Yeah.
It'd be pretty easy to fill out this roster.
Two of my guys on the all-time worst Cleveland teams didn't make it that far, but they were fairly big free agent signings that made at least 200 at bats.
Okay. Well, let's get into that real quick. I want you to give in a short description why Cleveland is good this year. Then give us the all-time worst, and then we'll throw you in the batter's box. But also, shout out again, Brown Bear. Thanks for doing this. We got to frame this dude and throw it on the baseball hippie wall.
Personally, I don't believe Cleveland should have been good this year. My friends back in Ohio keep telling me that, they should have. 10 games over 500 is like what we expected of them. But I'll be honest, preseason, looking at that roster, I did not expect that, and I give that up to the fact that I don't know baseball like I did in the 90s. but yeah, my Cleveland friends try to tell me this is a good team and they should be winning. I don't believe them, but we'll see what happens for the rest of the year. I'm hopeful.
It sounds
they
like
can
we're
make
in
a
the
wild
same
card,
boat,
you know?
except you've
We'll see.
consistently been about 5 to 10 games over 500, and we've gone almost 10 games under at one point. And we're like, we were riding in a desert with a horse with no name for some point of the season. But we're both. That's weird how uneasy baseball can make one feel. Where you're like, it's just been all this season about, are we good? Can you?
Like, I don't think our pitchers are that good, but they've been good
Well,
enough.
but you
I
do
definitely
have the
know
best
our-
pitcher in the AL. I can say that.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the rest of the roster.
The rest of the roster, yep.
Especially the starting rotation. I didn't expect much of them coming into the season, and they've overperformed my expectations.
Yeah.
A lot like one of my worst Cleveland players, Jack McDowell, who went 16-11, but arguably played terrible for that 95 team. He was awful in big moments. And he's one of my least favorite players. He was so bad.
Definition of yeah. I remember
another guy from that 95 team, Dave Winfield, who they signed at 43 for I don't know what reason. I mean, they made it to the World Series that year and lost. I went to 2 of those games, but Dave Winfield didn't even make the postseason roster. He was so bad at under 200. And like, it had a nice story with Eddie Murray getting his 3,000th hit, and like Dave Winfield, I guess, was there for moral support, but really bad Cleveland player. The other guy who didn't quite make that 500 at bats of my bottom is Keith Hernandez, signed in 1989 to a pretty big contract at the time, and batted around 220.
Yeah,
and
we touched on that a little bit too. Is like, if you get signed the year before and have a crappy season, it kind of amplifies why you make it to the all-time worst, because the expectation meets. Some of this is expectation based. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. You put up stats elsewhere, and then you come here and
Beltre almost made our list. I
reason,
argued him off somehow. But yeah,
I get that. He salvaged that contract towards the end, right? Like, he became a serviceable player. But
it's not as bad when you look back on it, for
sure. 2.5 seasons that contract.
It's true. It's true. Sorry to cut. Okay, keep going though. You got a great list so far.
Nick Swisher is the last one. He made well over 500 at bats and batted around 225, 222, I think, over 3 seasons with the Indians. He was just fucking god-awful. I think 32 home runs for those 3 seasons, just over 100 RBIs. And he was batting like 5th most of the time. It was so depressing to watch that dude play for Cleveland. It's so depressing.
And he was pretty good.
And then Felix Fermin was a guy from the 90s who used a lot like Willie Bloomquist. He was Nick Swisher.
I just want to say a quick thing on Swisher is in the book Moneyball, which mentions over 50 major league players you would recognize. Nick Swisher is the first person mentioned in the book in like the first sentence, I believe. So shout out to Nick. Billy Bean was huge on Swisher. It was his guy when it came to prospects. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was just really bad for the Tribe. Felix Fermin, like a utility guy, a lot like Willie Bloomquist, couldn't hit at all but played every position. I respect that, but at the same time, Felix was even a worse hitter than Willie, and Willie was pretty bad, right? You know, I don't know.
He had like the hometown guy going for him too, Willie did. So I feel like that's what kept him around. He was from like Bremerton or something.
Yep. And again,
But he played. He could play the
We're
outfield, he could play
scientists
infield,
here.
he did
We are
everything,
scientists
right?
here. Carver, we had to stay objective. Okay, obviously, I wanted Brad Miller to make the list. I made it known, but he had just his stats did not, qualify him to be an all-time worst. Yes, he's on the very, very bad Mariners or the disliked Mariner from Baseball Hippie for whatever reason. But
yeah,
he just doesn't make sometimes you don't just make the all-time list and you're good and you're bad or whatever. Yeah.
There's a lot
Billy
of
Bloomquist is in that category for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the last one is John Goshnar. You guys know him?
I can't say I do.
Can I read it a little bit from his Wikipedia
Yeah, sure.
real quick? John Goshnar, born September 12th, 1875, died September 27th, 1929. He was an American baseball player. He played for the Cleveland Broncos / Naps. He appeared in 264 Major League games, all as a shortstop. He has been called by some the worst Major League Baseball player of all time. And he only played for Cleveland. He batted, let's see, what did he bat for Cleveland? 185 with no home runs and 37 runs batted in, 40 errors, but that still made him the third best shortstop in the league in 1902. And then in 1903,
how do you spell this?
With no home runs and had 98 errors, which still leads the league. It's spelled Gochnaur.
Nour.
Yeah. 98 errors in his second year in Cleveland, and then he never played another game. But very bad.
Just pick up some random dude off the street, like, yo, this glove fits on your hand, right? You could be a baseball player. You make 97 errors. Jesus. Career batting average of
What's his first name? Ethan?
John.
Biblical. Yeah, 98 errors. Still unsurpassed as far as errors for shortstop. And 48 made him the third best fielding percentage in the league is crazy to me. 48 errors.
That's crazy.
The game was different back then. It's wild. But he played with one of the best Cleveland players of all time, Nap LaJoie. They named the team after him. The Cleveland Naps.
Mm-hmm.
And that too was good. So that's my list. Top 5.
Well, thanks for doing that. We needed you to do that because obviously you're our Ohio expert. So as we did our own Northwest version, we always want to tech in on the Midwest. A lot of connection here. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I got deeper. Michael Bourne was terrible with us. We've signed a lot of people. I'm sure like you have, Sean Figgins, Adrian Beltre.
Yes.
Richie Sexton.
Don't quite pan out, but expectations are gonna come up in your hardball questions, so get ready for that. But yeah, they're just part of the game, I think one thing I want to just relay on the Baseball Hippie, that's really like half of why it makes it so damn interesting. It's like, we're going to close the show with Ben Zobrist pasture embezzling the Baseball Hippie show, Carver. That's what you are out there in LA or Ohio or wherever you are. And as things start to open up, we'll be digitized. We always have been and we always will be here on the Baseball Hippie show, but we wish everybody the best as they kind of...
We're going to a dimension where I always...
Oops.
That was planned. I want to point out, too, I don't like the Suns guy. I'm just going to I don't like violence in that way. It's just like, I get it. The kid who looks like CJ from Whoopty. This guy, the Nuggets fans look like a drill artist named CJ. Whoopty. It's like a hit last summer.
Wait,
it's a New York.
fans fight? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Suns Nuggets fight, man.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just like, okay, and then I want to point out one other thing. I know it's entertaining for people, but like those kids were like 17, and that dude was probably like in his 30s. So it's like, but I don't know. It's just like
The kid took a swing first. A 17-year-old takes a swing at me. You know, I'm not
viral. You're right.
Twice,
It's a viral
right?
moment. I guess what I'm saying is like the dark side of people reacclimating to society is like just be good to each other. You know, it's just a game. Like it's just a stupid fucking. It's not just a game. It's a stupid fucking game in my opinion.
It's a game that
And I'm talking about baseball, basketball, whatever the fuck, dude. You might as well be in the Harry fucking Potter to a lot of people. Like my sister-in-law, you might for real. You might as well be in the Harry Potter. She just does not. I'd see maybe not her. She's not a great example. She kind of likes baseball, but people, you know what I'm saying? Some people you're just like Ben Zobrist, John Goshner. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever's in that box, it doesn't matter. Might as well be Hermione. Doesn't matter. Might as well be Zapdos.
Have you guys seen those movies, the Harry Potters?
Hell yeah, I've never read a book, but I've seen all the movies.
I haven't seen the movies. I've been meaning to read the book. I want to read the books first.
I've read most. I don't think I read the last two. Something like that. I kind of like aged out of the books, but I saw all the movies.
I hear they're good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah. Well, if I start reading the books, I'll make a podcast about it called the baseball, or excuse me, called the
Harry Potter Hippie Show.
Yeah, the Harry Potter Hippie Show. Where everything's it's the same format. It's the exact same format, shout outs and everything. Except instead of getting a weekly baseball news. Now Harry Potter wouldn't work as well because it's done. The world
But dude, that lady who wrote it is in the news every week.
Then. Yeah, we don't support that. Definitely not. All right, no more play to HP. We're just trying to make the cross that it's passion, y'all. That's all we're trying to say. Woof. Okay, so that is the all-time worst as we close it on the last segment. I'm a little nervous, man, because my own brother told me that I wasn't as good at interviewing as we once were. Are you ready for the batter's box? I've been busy, so it's hard to come up with just the questions. Now, you know the batter's box.
Sure.
First, we throw you. I should probably tell you what it is before I ask, are you ready? But first,
I'd love to know what it is.
First, we throw you a softball question, a changeup, just something to get you warmed up. Then we give you a hard ball. Then we switch it over. And we finish with the curveball. This is a classic Brokaw.
Okay, so
strategy.
What's the first one? Softball, changeup, fastball, curveball.
First, we hit you with the changeup. Just a little thing to get the mind flowing, activated. Then I hit you with the hardball question. Boom.
3.
Okay, 3.
Yeah.
Jesse interchanges softball with changeup.
Okay.
That's just one question.
I do it on purpose. We've talked about this before. I know I take things a little too deep sometimes. We never did great softball on this show because it's a connection. You know what I'm saying? Women in the game is dope AF. Softball is dope AF to me. We'll talk about it more, but like a softball is not a softball. Let's be honest here. Softball will take your head off. So it could waffle all up in there and strike you out. So like I think it's more. We know what it means. It's a softball question. It's just. I'm getting in the nitty gritty, aren't I, Brown Bear? Anyways,
let's hear it. Question 1.
All right, you ready for the batter's box? Here we go, Carver. You have entered the batter's box. First off, I'm glad that it doesn't appear that you've been able to catch up on the last show, even though you're one of our number one supporters, listeners. Because on last show, I brought in one of the greatest questions. I thought this was asked on a Cubs broadcast brought to me by Baseball Reddit. Cheese or donuts? And before you answer this question, or actually not before, Carver, what do you prefer, cheese or donuts? This was literally polled on a Chicago Cubs game.
It's
And
cheese
I thought it was
forever.
a great way to
I
start
don't
the
even
show.
consider donuts like a thing. I couldn't live without cheese. Like, I love all the cheeses. Like, I love them.
Now, the answer seems very easy. Brownbear answered with the same thing, but how about if I pose it like this?
Okay.
Some common Redditor said, well, I love cheese and I couldn't live without it. But if you put a plate of cheese or a plate of donuts in front of me, there's probably no chance I'm walking out of that room without eating a donut, and that's something to think about, y'all. And that poll wasn't just 70-30. It was like 45-55 for cheese.
But I guarantee I would eat some cheese before I ate a donut. Like, if nobody told me anything and there was just a room with cheese and donuts, I would have some cheese first. I would. And then I might finish it up with a donut. But I'm not eating multiple donuts. Well, if there were multiple cheeses over there, I would eat multiple cheeses. I love cheese.
Good answer.
Okay.
Good answer.
That's my.
Well, that's why it's a softball question. And you steadfast. I'm not here to talk you out of your answer. And again, it's a good answer. This is the batter's box. Well, we're gonna step it up a notch, and I didn't really know what I was gonna send here because I'd like to keep some of it a little open, but I think we found it really easily, actually. And your hardball is kind of a couple part question, but I hope it strikes hard for you. This is something athletes deal with all the time. Obviously, our backdrop is all-time worst. We're going to talk about it. Carver, what is the most common expectation we have in society? What is the greatest expectation you have of yourself? And what is what is a disappointing expectation you find in others? So I can rephrase that if you need it all. But first, I just want to know.
Let's start with the first one, right?
Yeah. What is the most, what did I say? The most
common expectation in society. And I'm thinking like American society, so I'm going to put it in a little bubble there.
Okay.
But I think pleasantness, like I think a lot of people feel like they're entitled to just a pleasant existence. And I understand that, but I think that's the most common expectation, is that things will be pleasant.
Wow. That's deep. Okay, well let's keep going here. This is why it's the hardball. What is the greatest expectation that you have of yourself, Carver?
I mean, just to be true to yourself and to treat people good, But, I mean, the only expectation I have is to try to, not fucking fuck people up, Well, I mean, not fuck myself as well, Try to live life. I can succeed, but not stopping anyone else from succeeding. In fact, trying to boost. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can't. That's the goal.
Great.
And then what was the last one?
I got to follow up on that in a little bit, but let's go to the last one. What is a expectation that you have found disappoints you in others in your life? I'm not talking about celebrities. I'm talking about those that you love.
That's a hard question because I'm not.
Okay, maybe I'm fishing.
Really understand.
Maybe I'm trying to get you to say something bad about people you like. Okay, maybe that's what I'm trying to do. Maybe that's what I've been trying to do with this whole podcast. Maybe that's why I have you on here, just for you to slip, and so that I can burn you online in front of all your friends and family. No, I'm just trying to say to you. I'm trying to ask. We've asked That's what's the most common, what's the baseline expectation people have of each other? What's the most greatest that you have of yourself? I guess I'm trying to ask,
Right.
what expectation do you find do you find anything disappoints you throughout the year with other people? No, okay, that's a bad question.
Okay. I guess I had a conversation earlier today with somebody about kind of this topic of expectations, right? And it was about how sometimes people have an expectation that a relationship, might I might be friends with y'all and friends with other people, but like my friendship with other people doesn't affect this friendship, right? Like sometimes people feel like those things can affect one another. There's an expectation there that like somehow, right? Like, and I just think that exists. I think everything can exist at the same time. And so that's an expectation that I've encountered in my life that I don't like, or that I don't, relationships can't affect one another, especially when they have nothing to do with one another,
Yeah. I think now I think about
it. You can love somebody and somebody else.
They don't love each other. Yeah, I think I found that. I think so. Yeah, expectations are a weird thing. I guess I'm trying to brew what the pitfall of the common everyday expectation is, not the like hyper I'm $1 million, $100 million athlete expectation. Brammer, you got anything on that? You got any? What? I'm interested. I feel like this opens up the floor a little bit. That's what the hardball is about.
I think not too much. I guess I feel like my expectations I have are more. I don't think I have a lot of expectations of other people, other than just like don't be a dick.
Yeah,
I think expectations for me are more a personal thing.
Right.
I have pretty high expectations of myself.
Me too. I just wanted to make you feel uncomfortable with that question because I think it's a lot easier to say like what expectations you have of yourself, whether they're good or bad. But when you point it at other people, especially on the bad side, you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to come off as like I have a high standard when really like I don't. But it's interesting because
I do at like work and stuff, but I'm trying to think outside it like.
Yeah,
because that's like I don't think that's me. That's like my.
Yeah,
it's like me trying to like get from point A to point B in my day. I feel like you have like it's just like part of my job. I like to think that I'm kind of chill and don't have heavy expectations of people in my personal life, but I don't know.
Well, why?
I mean, that's what I hope.
Yeah,
you expect Sean Figgins is going to hit over 280,
right? And yet I have expectations for like somebody to hit 30% of their, like 3-pointers, and I'm like, if they hit under, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? That's a good point.
That baseline pleasantness expectation is so fucking deep because it separates worlds on this planet. It separates us. It's like there's a huge pitfall to it as well as we're seeing. Like people want to be so pleasant that they like will literally do things that are not right, or not.
I'll go so far to say it's like a pretty white America.
I think
you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing for white people in America to expect that as like a given. You know what I mean? That things are going to be pleasant for them.
Yeah, I think you can be pleasant to a fault too. Like there should be. I mean, it's probably kind of stereotypical to say, but I think more like European like directness. I feel like people I know from Europe and my experience with Europe, things are more direct, and that isn't always a bad thing because I don't know, trying to be politically correct's not the right word, but like trying to be appeasing to everybody and everything, accommodating. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes you just need to like be real and be direct, and things work out better for everyone that way. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And for all the listeners out there, if you expect us to get 100 subscribers. Good luck. You know, that's you. You rock that. You can wear that. Because I just wake up. I guess I expect the sun to come up. But if you're the baseball hippie, man, can't live in a world of expectations. Every day is an all-time worst team, but it's also an all-time best team. I want y'all to think about that. Plus, all right. Well, I fucked up because I wanted to ask where do you find collective good, but it's just like on to that same tip of like, let's just get existential. That's not what the curveball's about. Okay.
Throw me a curve.
The curveball is about going to another realm. Okay. So the year is 2034.
Okay.
Baseball has to make a decision. Is it going to introduce a new water element to some of their stadiums where there'll be like water that the players have to like they're gonna, it's kind of like they're trying to add new things at this point, right? Actually, maybe year's 2044.
Like in
yeah.
Nuffield.
Year's 2045. Okay. Now, I guess the question here is, do you raise beer prices to a point where a beer costs $23 a cup, a liter, to watch baseball players play in elements like water and also maybe some fire element to it too? But basically they're changing the game significantly. Do you think in the next decade any stadium will introduce a lower beer price?
No, and I think they should in fact raise them so that they can incorporate fire and water, and people can bring their own drugs. They should just not check people. They can bring whatever they want.
I got an idea, a drive-through stadium where it's like, you know, a drive-in movie?
Yeah.
A drive-in stadium, yo.
For Frito-Lay, I'm willing to bet that could work. You pay $25, they make more than they would have made off beer and concession and ticket price because that shit is so cheap.
Could be
like you pay $25, you also have beer there, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I guess
I'd like to see.
Yeah, that's my curveball. Is beer gonna ever go down in price? Is there gonna be an alternative to beer and White Claw? Is there an alcohol that hasn't been invented yet?
Dude, literally for Vashon, Matt Allen got a keg of like not White Claw, but basically White Claw, like a hard seltzer. Which seems insane to me. I only tried White Claw for the first time 2 weekends ago. Damn, and I was blown away.
I love seltzer, and I still can't get down with it. I don't know, something about it. Don't like it.
I saw like the alcoholic pineapple kombucha at the Safeway like 3 years ago, and I just was like had a grandpa moment where I was like, all right now. I know the kids are doing new things nowadays, but that ain't right. That just ain't right, Margaret. Diane, that ain't right. Okay.
I can see some type of.
All right, I got a question for y'all. Can I
guess
turn it around on you?
Honestly, my curveball is the fluff of this whole interview. So yeah, you can throw it back at me. Hit me.
All right. So you meet a fortune teller, and he has a crystal ball. And if you look in this crystal ball, it'll show you 20 years in the future for 30 seconds. And it's been proven that when you look at what you see in the future will happen. It's a fact. You cannot change it. What you see in the future is just going to happen. Okay? So look at where...
I gotta follow up, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, you look...
Yes.
You look in the crystal ball and you see yourself. 20 years in the future, you're in a room by yourself in a recliner. You're watching a AAA Toledo Mud Hens game surrounded by AAA Toledo Mud Hens gear, pennants, all sorts of shit, right? You go home after you've looked into the crystal ball and there's a Toledo Mud Hens game on TV that afternoon. Do you watch it?
Yeah, I do. Because I'm not against that belief of free will, but destiny rings stronger in my world. Destiny rings stronger. So of course I watched that Mud Hens game, but I'll tell you this, Carver, that's not a hard question because I'd watch the Mud Hens game whether I saw the fortune teller or not. So that's an easy question.
No, I understand that.
It'd be a trip if there was an Ohio minor league team on Portland broadcast channel. just randomly. So I probably would watch it too.
2 years ago, AAA.
Dude, I got a good idea for a spin-off of the Baseball Hippie show. We could run the minor league highlights and be like a recap show for the minor leagues. Really try to boost them. Be like,
I would watch it. I have a Mud Hens hat I'll put on.
Dude, the minor leagues are so rad. We went on a deep dive one show, and they just there's literally 10 different teams named after shellfish, man. It's a weird thing. There's the jumbo shrimp and the clams and the mussels and I don't know. It's just interesting.
At a certain point, they stopped being named after their parent team, and they were like, we all have to come up with unique names. And so they got pretty ridiculous pretty quick, I feel like. They did.
The Yard Goats. What were some of the ridiculous names? They had those. I like the Area 51. I think that's
Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Oh, yeah. Trash Pandas. Well, Carver,
biscuits.
That was the batter's box, and I'd say you did pretty damn well, but I don't know what's gone. I'm in a slump, dude. Just no denial. I just can't come up with what I used to. Just the curveball is the fastball sets you up for such a good possibility to just hit you just left brain, right brain. And I can't ever get that combo working. I felt I don't know, how do you feel about this interview today? Was it all right?
Are you talking to me or Brownbear?
Both. What'd you say?
It's about a 4.
I think it's
4.
4. On a scale of 5. 1 out of 5.
4. Okay. It's classic. Classic that you guys would say 4. Oh, like the numerical 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no. It's think about 4 not in a system of numbers where it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Think about 4 as just a thing in the ethosphere. Okay, no greater or less than any other number. It doesn't come between 3 and 5. Okay, it's just out there floating. Okay, and it still represents 4 sticks or whatever you want to say. It's 4 elements, but not greater. Not less than. It's just 4. Okay. That's how I feel about it. That's called living an expectationless life. Where beer prices.
Always good.
Beer prices are the great expectation, my friend. Every year I wake up and I'm like, I think beer is going to go down this year. I just have a feeling. I'm going to go to the Mariners game, and the price of beer will be less than it was the last year.
Do team salaries keep rising? And the price of beer keeps rising. You know what I mean?
I beg to differ on some of that suggestion, okay? I don't know what the Mariners... Okay, first off, the Mariners team salary went down in the last couple of years, so I would expect my fucking beer prices to go down. But I always thought that would be a great idea for a game. They should just have a ticker on the beer prices where it's like connected to the game somehow.
Yeah.
Talk about fan involvement.
Like if the 7th inning stretch happens and your team hasn't scored a run, beer prices are rock bottom. Right?
Yo, I don't know what type of economics this is, but that is the key to fixing baseball's problem, is connect the beer prices to the game. You want people to watch baseball and not just talk to their friends or do crosswords or like be bored.
I actually think that's an amazing idea.
Man, every inning people would be invested knowing that if you like the more you score, the less the beer goes down in price, and then or something. I don't know exactly how.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for it to be low scoring. If you scored no runs, it'd be really low.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to insinuate the fans to get into the game and cheer and like motivate the team.
The less the beer is.
Yeah, I think the higher your team scores, the cheaper the beer gets. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, why would you cheer for your teams?
Also, side bets. If you steal a base, you get a core goes down that inning or something. You know, it's like if you pull a good double play. If you hit a runner in, if you hit a solo shot, you know, all sorts of weird little.
I gotta be honest though, I looked up a lot of Cleveland worst shit for this, and the 10-cent beer night is on all the lists. Everyone's like, this is one of the worst things Cleveland ever did. Was 10-cent beer night where people got fucking insane and they threw all sorts of shit. You know, I think that was a terrible idea. So maybe.
You can't have it so cheap that people are like vomiting in the park.
Right.
Then it's just a bad time for everybody.
You at least have to keep people somewhat sober. Because they have to like at least find a taxi cab after or something. An Uber. They have to be able to get in an Uber.
Yeah.
True. I'm being very irresponsible here because on one hand I want to have a drive-in stadium like it's the goddamn 1940s. And on the other hand, I want them to lower beer prices. Like, this is a bad combination.
That's why I'm saying raise beer prices. Let's get fire out on the field. And fucking...
Just go full WWF. Just go straight. Just say, use it as a catalyst. Be like, baseball will change. Like, yeah, you guys are just too wussy to change your rules that have been around for 100 years. Screw 9 innings. We're going 1 inning. And guess what? At the end, we fight to the death. Then we find a whole new roster of people. Yeah, I'm sure
that is still something. I always think about how that's something that hasn't really happened other than in college, where teams like plane crash and their team doesn't exist, right? Yeah. Like that happened in Marshall. We are Marshall, right? But it's never happened in professional sports, and it's going to sometime. Like it's just. Basic statistics.
It's
like
true.
One of these team planes is going to crash at some point in one of the 4 major sports. And then what's going to happen? What do they do?
Probably run a draft, like when an expedition team comes into the league.
Season though, or do they make them wait? Do they just say, season's over for you? Sorry.
That would fuck up the rest of the teams, though. I mean,
right?
You just have like a 3-game, 4-game bye every time you were supposed to play that team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to.
They would cancel
to nullify any games played against that team at the beginning of the season.
How would they not cancel it though, Jess?
It would be such a weird social outcry too, because there'd be one half of society and the teams would be like, I think there'd be players who'd be like, I don't even want to play. Like, I think we should just cancel the season. And then there'd be other people, and with honest to God intentions in mind, where it's like, I don't know, if you died with your team on a plane crash, deep down, those people might be on some like, yeah, I don't want the season to end for everybody else. Like, it's the saddest thing in my family's life, obviously, and my life's over. But we love baseball. We want people, it's not like we want the game to end.
I think the season would go on. I think there'd be like 2 weeks where they would cancel all of the season. And then they would start it back up, and they would finish the season. And they'd figure out like how to deal with this team being missing. And then I think after the season, they would do an expansion draft. That's what I think.
All right.
Crazy.
God. Dude.
But those owners couldn't miss out on that much money, and those players couldn't either. I mean, the league would want to play. I think.
I think you're right. That's a trip.
Nobody's arguing that, Carver.
I'm just being honest.
Well, that segues nice into our last segment, the stranger parts of baseball, aka extra innings here, late night. It's because of a kind of risque hour here on Baseball Hippie. Long time MLB, but this comes from, again, Josh Jacob Jingleheimer sent me this morning, NBC News. Longtime MLB player Ben Zobrist accused his pastor of carrying on an extramarital affair with his wife and defrauding his charity. The former Chicago Cubs star in an explosive Tennessee lawsuit. Zobrist, the 2016 World Series MVP who led the Cubs to blah, 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 said Brian Yon was a senior pastor at his community Bible church in Nashville. When in spring 2019, he began meeting Zobrist's wife for sex, according to a civil complaint filed in May. All the while, Jan was acting as a counselor to the couple.
He was their premarital
difficulties.
He was their premarital counselor too, so he helped them. Like he counseled them like as they were getting married, as like a famous couple getting married.
I hate it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Yeah.
I have to pee real bad.
Zobrist at one point in 2019. Jan even counseled Zobrist to give his wife some space, quote unquote. Again, this is ABC News, y'all. In disingenuous advice aimed at self-seeking advantage, the lawsuit said. The defendant secretly maintained a sexually intimate relationship with the plaintiff's wife for the remainder of 2019, spring of 2020, all the while concealing it to the plaintiff, his counselee. The suit also said Jan became active in Zobrist's Patriot Forward charity and used his role in the organization as an excuse to meet with the plaintiff's wife, starting in the fall of 2018. 2018 defendant his own job description as executive director, involving him in every facet of the plaintiff's charity. When the defendant began meeting the plaintiff's wife for sex during the spring of 2019, he was still the executive of the charity.
He like kept getting paid out from the charity too after he like fired him from it.
Yeah, Mr. Jan somehow continued to fraudulently receive salary checks as of May 2019, when his position had already been fully terminated and all the news had already broken. The big leaguer is filing for $3 million in compensational damages and $3 million in punitive. So that's $6 million altogether.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Sounds like a piece of work.
Wow. Well, when he left in the middle of the season, nobody really knew what was going on. They knew he was a deeply religious guy, but it was kind of weird to just quit a season. Hate to say it bluntly, but a lot of MLBers get divorces. It's just weird. I don't know. Not that it's weird on a human level, I guess, but it's just, you know.
So the whole reason that he figured out what was going on is the pastor's wife found their burner phones that him and Zobrist's wife were talking on.
Wow.
And she hit up Ben Zobrist and was like, "Hey, I think your wife and my husband have an emotional relationship going on." And then they like looked more into it, and it was much more than just an emotional relationship.
Wow.
Talk about abusive power.
Burner phones.
I know.
Burner phones, dude. Can you imagine the life of a high-profile community?
So it sounds like
country
his wife
music star in a deeply religious relationship.
So country music stars is a generous term. I looked that up, and she did have a song or two chart on Billboard country Christian. She's a Christian country singer too.
Okay,
but I wouldn't say star. Yeah,
she's not.
No, but
okay.
the fucked up thing is, it sounds like she was in charge of his his wife was in charge of his charity, or like ran his charity in some capacity, and this dude, the pastor, was some sort of executive with his charity, and they basically used that as an excuse to spend time together and cheat on each other's partners.
Right.
Like, damn.
Dude.
That's why I never trust charity. The wrong takeaway.
I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is going on in the world, but it's too easy to take shots at Christians on this show, I think. I don't know. I'm not trying to alienate any of our listeners, but I said it the other day. I was kind of drunk. I don't know why there's so much drinking themed on this show, but I see how someone could believe in Jesus. I'm a Mariners fan. You know, I do believe one day they're going to make the playoffs. So, you know. I see you can believe in something that you don't see in your, you know, you don't see it, but you can believe.
Yeah, but you've seen it.
Exactly.
You've never seen God.
Well,
you know what I mean?
My problem doesn't rely and doesn't. I think being religious is chill, but it mostly just the persecution part of it. Just the vibe is just very heavy in most of the like.
I mean, I'm fine with the persecution part of it. I understand that Christians were persecuted. What I don't understand is that most Christians nowadays feel like persecution, like when I was growing up, I grew up in a very Mennonite, very like, you know, cloistered environment. And they were like, you have to be persecuted. Otherwise, your faith doesn't matter. Like it's important to be persecuted. And like nowadays, Christians act like they shouldn't ever be, you know what I mean? Like they're like feel entitled to everything.
Oh, see,
And when
my
I was
thing is
growing
more
up,
like I don't understand what their problem with gay people is. And maybe I'm just painting a stroke. I know there's plenty of churches that don't. They let, you know, it's all good with them.
The Mennonite colleges were the full Christian colleges because they allowed sexual orientation, you know, sexual orientation
yeah.
being non-discriminatory. And the rest of the, like, literally 1,000 other colleges were like, but that's what we asked the government to let us do. Like, that we ask, we lobby, we pay tons of millions of dollars here so we can lobby, so we can exclude people based on their orientation.
The
so y'all are gonna
exclusion part is the part. It's like, okay, so wait, your whole thing is that God loves everybody and you just live this certain way, and it's all like, it's like, you know, there's like, I don't know, the Bible, when I read a lot of religious scriptures, I'm just like, I don't really see like how you could ever recommend hating anyone based on anything. Like, the whole shit about not really judging.
The Bible doesn't say anything about gay people. In order to interpret the Bible as like being against gay people is such a stretch. If you actually read the text, like there's no mention of fucking gay people at all. So it's like insane that that's become a hot button issue. Same with abortion. There's no mention of it in the Bible.
It's weird.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. And it kind of, I think it makes a bad name because I do talk to religious people sometimes where I'm like, what's the deal? And they're just like, oh no, man, it's a bummer. It's like, imagine something you're into and there's just this one group that just fucking sucks so bad.
They're super vocal.
You're just like,
it's most of them nowadays. It's not even like one group. It's most denominations are against abortion and gay rights and like true equality of the races. And it's like, that's pretty fucked up, right?
Dude. Well, I'm in the religion of baseball, and I can say every time I'm against something, I think I'm like for it deep. Like some, I don't know, man. But like the ironies are deep in this world, and you know, it's just you know.
That's another Brockmeyer. Eventually, J.K. Simmons comes on as another like dude, and he's got cancer, and he's also got a huge dick. But like towards the end, they start talking about the religion of baseball. Like, because JK's like, I'm about to die and I've got cancer. I've never had a religion, but he's like, you're a baseball man. Like, you know, and he starts equating like the religion of baseball to like, and it's really quite beautiful.
I'm in it. I mean, I
great.
think failure is a part of like daily. Like, I just see it's called failure, but it should have a different name. It's more like love. It's really complicated because it's like there's no like, I don't know. The same little bit in basketball, but you just go on these streaks. It's just so hard, I think, to be a good hitter in baseball. I don't know if that oversimplifies it, but it's like it's kind of hard to be good at life in a lot of ways, like just over and over and over and over and over again. So in that way, when we make the all-time worst, I kind of in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of more like these. Like these people are more like me because like they're normal.
But no, they're not even normal. Even the worst made it like way further, right?
Yeah.
Like into the major leagues, like there's only like 600 some players.
Dude, they were the best all the way, the best on every team all the way up, always the best. Right? And then, yeah, and I think that trips me out on a daily basis.
43 and had 3,000 career hits by the time he sucked in Cleveland. Yeah, I'm calling him one of the worst Cleveland Indians of all time. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. It's like even getting 500 at bats in the MLB is like a milestone. Even if you do bat a $150, it's like crazy, you know? So
yeah,
I think we give it up, but on this show, it's just kind of like, I think that's why I'm in the religion, or like in the house of baseball and the religion of baseball, or I at least subscribe to it today. It's like, it reminds me a lot of like our honestly, I know it seems kind of dark, but it's not. It's like the pitfalls of us, of all of us. Like, it's there to show us that we're just people, you know. We just baseball games, always the flub ends up the floodgates. Like, it's always like, oh, that weird error on the second out when the pitcher's rolling, and then it just rolls, and that is like, is that not a metaphor for life?
Well, and I love that in baseball it's an error. In the other sports it's a penalty or a foul, but in baseball it's an error, which is inherently human. Like, everyone. Errors.
Bill James argued that an error is the most subjective stat in all sports. Yeah. Man, it's good. It's been good. You know, we touched all surfaces, and trying to sharpen my steel here on the show. So thanks always for your input. And I don't think we thought of any new segments organically, which I was hoping, but we did get to play my favorite super
baseball hippie anti-religion hour.
Yeah.
Never. I don't think I came off as that. I think it's easy for the hippie show.
No, that's why I didn't say anything, because I would have.
Like, let's be honest here with the amount of psychedelics we've done collectively between the three of us. I don't know if Pastor what is his name? Anyway, everybody lives a different life. That's what I've taken. We're all in different lanes. We're all doing different things, but be careful what you subscribe to, even baseball. Sometimes I turn it off. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this game. I do that. I'm just like, fuck this game. You know what it is about baseball? It's a stupid game. They're dumb game to play. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna read a fucking book and go to bed. Do some self-help hour. Yeah, no, we're not
book about baseball.
Remember, we're not anti anything on this game, except on this podcast, except everything that we are anti for that moment when we're just talking shit on it. But as a whole, we're not anti anything. I'd say so. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Houston Astros get a lot of flack on this show. Like,
pretty anti-Astros. You're pretty anti-nuclear weapons. Anti-nuclear weapons.
Watch who you follow. Even in baseball, you could be an Astros fan.
It's crazy. I played with them in the show the other day to try to break my losing streak. And Brownbear, we weren't on chat, but I could just feel him like aghast. He's just like, oh, God. Are you kidding me? And I'm like, and then we kind of we're like, damn, Granky? Like, they got a pretty good lineup. Like, we just really just.
Wasn't that the game that I hit? Who did I beat you 8-1 with the Blue Jays?
Yeah, that you did beat him, but then I won again. I kind of like Houston. Yeah. Well, thanks again for being on the show, and
thank you for having me
back. Yeah, we'll have you back before the season ends. I don't know. I wish I had something cool to end this off on, but I can't really. It's sad that I'm not going to see you when you come up.
I know.
I haven't seen you in probably 2-3 years. Brownbear, I haven't seen in a year or two, and I'm going to see him in a couple weeks. So.
It's been a minute.
It's just weird. Things are opening up.
I don't remember the last time I did see you. It would have been in Portland. You came down with Katie, maybe? Is that right?
So. And last time I was in LA, I saw Melissa, but I didn't even see you. Or not the last time, but the time before that. So that was
right.
Way long.
Yeah, that's
dude, we ate frog legs, dude. We didn't talk about poster tour, but yeah, I might have ate some frog legs on poster tour, man. Does it look like I've been left off bad and bougie? Baseball hippie show, y'all.
Oh,
we got Carver. We got Ohio in the house. Cleveland rocks. Actually, it's funny. Carver said on the show, what's his name? Drew Carey gets no love from the town, though. From the outside, everybody on the outside is like, Drew Carey, right? He's like the king of Cleveland. You're like, nah, not even. Drew Carey gets minimal love. Dude moved to Seattle. He's a tourist.
I mean, we all like that show. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
A lot of his jokes were about Bernie Kosar, and we got him, and they were great. When he was coming up, he was funny. And then,
I love that show when it was on.
What's that chili? You get chili in Cincinnati. Checkers.
Yeah.
Skyline.
Chili.
Yeah.
It's a famous chili in Cincinnati. It's
spaghetti.
Disgusting.
They put chili.
Cincinnati is disgusting.
Spaghetti.
In general.
They ketchup. No, not ketchup.
Yeah. No, it's got spaghetti in it.
Chili with spaghetti.
Awful.
That sounds gross.
Basically.
Sounds like some
really
shit you
gross.
do when you have
not
no other
it.
food in your house.
No.
You're just drunk and the only shit in your cabinet is spaghetti and a can of Stag.
What can I do? I guess this. All right. That's basically what they did.
And then they mapped out a whole. Then they drew their borders and were like, "This is Ohio," and that's everywhere else.
That's Louisville. This is Cincinnati. Yeah. They have cool.
You mash
so we have this
whiskey. We'll eat spaghetti in our chili. Yeah, this is the part of the show too. We can play any unlicensed things because if they kick us off YouTube, we've already done the whole show.
We got a notice at the beginning of the show for something that we played, probably that Bauer video.
Oh, we got tagged?
Yeah, but it's still live. It's been streaming the whole time, but I got a notice saying that copyright was detected, so bummer. Wow. We ain't making the big bucks on this episode.
Damn it.
What do you have to bleep it or something when that happens? What do you have to do? Blur it?
No, most of the time they just say you can't monetize it, which we don't anyway. So,
right.
There's been one time.
We haven't monetized shit.
This British rap group prevented our shit from being posted, but that's the only time that it's been like that.
What rap group?
What are they called? Young T and Bugsy. So really
Brownbear plays a lot of UK drill music on this show, which I thought fits nicely with the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Violent but no guns. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Right? Yeah, they just talk about stabbing people all the time because they don't have guns.
I just feel like the 2021 hippie is like plays UK drill music because it's like I don't know. It's like, I don't know. You know, I think we obsess about being in touch, and so that if we leave you with anything on this show here, the last podcast, you know, it's okay to, you know, take a break. You don't have to like be the expert on everything, you know. You can be an enthusiast. Release the expectation you have of yourself on what you think you know, because you'll find that you know far less than what you really know, but you know far more than what you think you know.
All right, you lost me at the last.
Yeah.
I feel. What's the equivalent UK drill song to Gary Newman driving in my car? I feel like that's what we should play right now.
Let's see. What do I got? I don't really even know.
Carver, when do you leave for Seattle? Are you all driving up? Or are you
Thursday,
taking
no, we're flying.
Okay, to Portland.
No, we're flying to Seattle.
Oh,
It's not really,
dude.
not really drill, but it's a drill artist, and this song's kind of tight.
Yeah, but like I said, my aunt's up there and stuff, so like I'm going and checking in with her 2 of the days I'm up there.
Yeah.
And like my uncle, 1 of the days. We leave on Monday. It's like pretty tight. But the first thing over there, we're not doing anything. If you were there, I was gonna hit, I was gonna see what you were up to.
Yeah.
We get in like Thursday Eve, and I was gonna see. Yeah.
Well, I would have seen you out there
Well,
too, but yeah, I just can't.
If you were in town, you'd be going.
I
to
know. I
Vashon,
would have just
right?
been out there all 3 days with you getting shit-housed on San Juan seltzers and doing all sorts of designer drugs, listening to what's that? Listening to what's that band where there's like the ball in the oh god.
What do you mean there's a ball?
Oh man, it's just that band with the rock. It's the fucking...
Give me more. I'm so good at this game, but you can give me a little more.
It's basically like San Diego rock, but it's like pop. And it's like one guy, but it's named a band. It's like the most popular dude ever.
Black Eagle.
All close in the same world. It's a California band. There's one where there's like lasers, and then there's like a metallic ball in the cover, and that's like the famous cover. And everybody loves this fucking band.
Queens of the Stone Age.
What's up, Queens of the Stone Age? Nah, it's like one dude.
That's basically one dude. I know it's like.
Oh, Rihanna put their song on her album at the end because she liked them.
Rihanna did?
Yeah.
From San Diego?
So, maybe.
I don't even know like the Locust is from San Diego and Black Dark Recession. I don't know many San Diego bands.
Maybe they're from LA and they're Tame Impala.
Tame Impala.
He's from Australia.
Yeah, I know. Like we would be out there doing designer drugs, listening to Tame Impala together. But unfortunately, visiting my nephew in Chicago. Just kidding. God, it's getting really bad out here. Not unfortunately. I'm excited to do that.
Actually, that's gonna be fun.
Actually, we're gonna be having our own fun reading National Geographic Ants. I got him for his birthday, and spiders. Yeah, boys in the insects.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. They're psychedelic, that's for sure. All right, y'all. Yeah, this is Baseball Hippie. Remember's got work. We gotta get off, y'all.
Yeah, my girlfriend's about to get home.
Okay. Definitely we need to shut down before that because she'll be like, what are you doing right now?
She's going to want to talk. She's just been working for like 10 hours. So.
Oh, nice.
Thanks for joining us, Carver.
Yeah.
All right. Later, guys.
Later, dude.
Peace.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for listening. Baseball Hippie.
Some brothers give it in, some make it out. Some ain't got the heart, some behold the spirit. Some do it for the living, most do it for clout. Some do it for the money, the dollar, the pound. Some get it on their own, leech on their own. For the love of money, see niggas turn on their own. They told me I can't do it, that it don't make sense. You switch too fast, it's either the grave or pen. They told me I can't do it, that it don't make sense. You switch too fast, it's either the grave or pen. Why you keep wasting your energy? Never let them draw out the energy. They just want your phone cause they're jealousy. Yeah, protect your energy. Why you keep wasting your energy? Never let them blow out the energy. They just want your phone cause they're jealousy. Protect your energy. Protect your energy. Protect the energy. They just want your phone cause they're jealousy. Protect your energy. Crown on my head, I was born shining day. Put us in the dirt so we keep dying. I died 100 times and I keep fighting. Crazy doing your people shaky and I'm still riding. Clean anti with it and I was raised different. Never let no pussy in this world try pressure. Old spirit, diligent spirit. I'm on to everybody who try to take on my spirit. Old spirit, diligent spirit.